Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ariel Helwani Show!
Back in your life on this Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. It is great to be here on another lovely Wednesday in New York City. Oh my dear, look at it. Look at it outside. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's, I don't know what we call this, but it's very nice outside. I think today is like 27, 26, kind of like yesterday. It starts in the teens, low teens, but then it gets all the way up almost to 30. It's unbelievable. So it's great to be here on another Wednesday edition of the program. You know, we love Wednesdays around these parts. It is On the Nose Day, and there's a lot going on as we head into UFC 308 this weekend in Abu Dhabi. Truth be told, when I said goodbye to you last night, I was very excited about the night to come, but golly, it turned into one for the scrapbook, but not in the best way. All's well that ends well, but I had quite the evening, my friends, quite the evening. As you'll recall, I was very excited to go home to watch Knicks opening night with my kids. Got home and was thrilled to see my son wearing his Patrick Ewing jersey. He was ready to go. He had it locked on the pregame. He was cursing the screen. They were showing the ring ceremony for those dastardly Celtics. It was very annoying. And then we were locked in. We were having a great time. We had some cake. We were celebrating, and like 5 minutes in, the game was over. It was just an absolute beatdown. It was as close to a 10-7 as you can get in pro basketball. So that wasn't very fun. Morale was low. At the same time, our beloved Montreal CF football team was losing to GC's beloved Atlanta United MLS squad 2-0. So we thought, okay, that's out the window as well. And we were just kind of, lamenting the fact that on this particular night, at least for this night, all our teams sucked. But then, friends, I was reminded that none of that really matters. And ultimately, as long as we are healthy, that's the most important thing in life. And I bring this up because now we get to around 10 o'clock. And at this point, basketball game's about to be over. We think the soccer game is over. And all of a sudden, we notice that our beloved dog Matcha, who I've told you all about. Initially, I was not receptive to the idea of owning a dog. I was very much a not dog person, if you will. My brother got this dog, Matcha, back in 2018. He had to get rid of her. My wife said, okay, we're going to take her for a weekend. A weekend turns into 6 years, and now she's become, essentially a member of the family. She's, my second daughter in many respects. I adore her. We notice that she is chewing on something that kind of looks like a bone marrow. It's like this long, and it's quite thick. Like you can bang it on something, it will never break, but there's a hole in the middle. And so I guess dogs like to put their mouth around it and chew on it. Well, we notice that this thing that is pretty much like this is now clamped onto her jaw. It is impossible to get it out. It's now clamped on there. Like she has the canines, and then it's like just lodged in between, and nothing is getting it out. My wife has jewelry, instruments. She's trying to cut this thing open. We're trying to pull. We're afraid that her teeth are going to come flying out, that we're going to break her jaw. I mean, this thing was just lodged in there. And so I have to take poor Matcha, who is now like, she's drooling like crazy. God bless her. She wasn't crying. She wasn't complaining, but I can't imagine the kind of pain that she was in. I have to take her to the emergency vet office. I've never been to a place like this before. I never want to be back at a place like this before, because I get there and it's incredibly somber. It's incredibly sad. There's a lot of injured, sick pets all over the place. There's families hugging, crying, sad. There's emergency surgery happening right there. Like when you go to an emergency room for human beings, all that is kind of behind the walls. This is just out in the open. I don't know if it was this particular one or this is how they all are. I've never been to one. I never want to go back to one. It was awful. And I get there and they're like, yeah, we've seen this. Oh, we've seen this countless times. Like, why do they sell these things if you see them all the time? I'm never going to allow my dog to have one of these. And so they had to sedate her. Then they moved her head up, and then they just like, boom, popped it out. Thank God. it's a weird thing. I've said this as a father. When my kids are dirty, when my kids don't take a shower, or when my dog is dirty, when she's not bathed, clean, whatever, if she's not feeling well, I don't feel like I'm clean or feeling well. And so I was feeling the pain in my mouth on her behalf. And then when they lodged it out, I felt so much better about life. I was so happy and thankful. And I was reminded about, that's all that matters. None of this really matters. And so there we are, Matcha and I, at the emergency room. This is right after. You can see the bottom of her mouth. She's like all kind of, it's all like wet and stuff down there because she was drooling like crazy. And I'm just so happy that she's on my lap. Now, this person that you're looking at, me, Ariel Helwani, a person who 6 years ago would never even fathom holding a dog or picking up a dog's poop or sleeping with a dog or trying to lodge something out of a dog's mouth. I would have been terrified of doing something like that. Here, they're trying to sedate her and she's going crazy and I'm kissing her and I'm rubbing her and I'm caressing her and all these things. So all's well that ends well. Matcha is okay. Thumbs up to Matcha in the chat. Thumbs up to Matcha in the chat. And we're okay. But then I'm leaving now. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm exhausted, emotionally spent. And, I quickly check the phone to see if there's anything brewing. And first thing I see is a text from GC rubbing it in that Atlanta beat Montreal. Now, of course, he didn't know what I was going through, but it was comforting.
Yeah, man. I mean, you.
It was either that or it's tough. Either
you
one
got a
would
bunch
have
of good news. You got to leave the hospital. Matcha's all fine. Had to bring you back down to earth.
Sure.
Because Atlanta delivered that beat down of Montreal, and we advance, and your season is over.
Yeah, no, you're playing Miami. I'm sure that's going to go well for you guys. I will say I had no idea that we made the valiant comeback and that it went to pens until I got home and my kids told me.
All for nothing.
All for nothing.
Just
all
to
for
lose.
no. Just these things happen. So anyway, yes. You are reminded of what's important. I'm very happy that Much is doing well. A little lethargic this morning, if I'm being honest, but we will get there. So as far as today's program, we have On the Nose coming up in a matter of moments. At around 2 o'clock, we're going to be joined by my old friends, the man in the hat, Chuck Mindenhall, and the editor-in-chief of Uncrowned.com that is absolutely killing it these days. I mean, do you guys see the content? Do you see the quality on there? I see a lot of people lamenting the state of combat sports. Have you been to uncrowned.com? Show me one thing that feels cheap. Show me one thing that feels clickbaity. Show me one thing that feels, lesser than. Oh, look at that. It's a beautiful piece of work. There's a little MMA, there's a little boxing, there's a little pro wrestling. All's well. I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the output. I'm so happy with the content. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, you got the videos up there from this program. New piece from Chuck Mindenhall, The Cult of Max Holloway. We got our Raw results over there. Great piece on an up-and-coming AEW star over there. Francis Ngannou stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Tremendous. So Shaheen Al-Shatti is going to join us. Chuck Mindenhall is going to join us. We're going to talk about all things UFC 308. The man and the myth are going to be joining us at 2 o'clock. At 2:30, one of our favorites. He's one of our own. Arnold Allen, he's one of our own. He's coming off a big win over Giga Chikadze in July. I was in Paris. I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. He, of course, knows a thing or two about Max Holloway. Featherweight division, very much on his mind. He's a big star in the featherweight division. We'll get his thoughts on the win, on all the comings and goings in his life. There's a ton if you just follow him on Twitter. But, of course, the main event on Saturday. We've been talking a lot about Rico Verhoeven on the show this week. And, Francis on Monday, Nixick on Tuesday, Hardy on Tuesday. And so, like I said, Rico hit me up. He wants to have a say. And so the baddest man on the planet when it comes to kickboxing, the heavyweight king, the face of glory kickboxing, arguably one of the most decorated kickboxing champions of all time. He returns to action on December 7th. He's going to join us at 3 o'clock to talk about all these comings and goings. Always love talking to Big Rico. 3:30, we're going to be joined by Regis Prograis. It's not just 308 this weekend. It's Regis Prograis traveling to Manchester at the brand new Co-op Live Arena, site of UFC 304 in Manchester, going up against Jack Catterall, who, of course, is coming off that big win over Josh Taylor. No titles on the line, but two of the very best at 140 pounds going toe-to-toe. That's this Saturday on DAZN. Regis Prograis will join us. And at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern, Tom Lawlor, Filthy Tom, UFC legend, MMA legend, now turned pro wrestler, is going to join us. Why? To talk about the class action lawsuit that appears to be coming to an end, Kung Lee versus Zuffa. He was actually at the courthouse yesterday in Las Vegas when the ruling came through. And so I wanted to get his insights as to what this all means. A lot of people hitting me up about how they get paid. He has a lot of insight into that and where they all go from here. In fact, he posted a video, which I thought was awesome, right outside the courthouse after the decision came through. Here's that quick video.
Yo, what's up? I'm outside the courthouse here in Las Vegas, where Judge Boulware just made a historic ruling. He approved the pretrial settlement between the plaintiffs, Kung Lee against Zuffa. So UFC fighters, I believe there's about 1,200 of you. There's $375 million coming your way, minus $115 million in fees. So be on the lookout. Historic day for the UFC, historic day for the fighters. After 10 years, it seems like it's over.
Historic day for the UFC, historic day for the fighters. After 10 years, it seems like it's over. So again, 10-year legal battle appears to have come to an end. The Judge Boulware, approved a $375 million settlement between the UFC and its former athletes in the Lee versus Zuffa lawsuit. In March, you'll recall, both sides had agreed to a $335 million settlement, but that agreement was struck down by the presiding judge, who said it was too favorable for the UFC, somewhat shocking to many. Lawsuit was an antitrust case which accused the UFC of operating as a monopoly to suppress fighter pay between a chosen period of 2010 and 2017. A separate post-2017 case is ongoing and it remains unsettled. That's Johnson versus Zuffa. We'll see how that plays out. That's Cajun Johnson leading the charge there. Had the UFC not settled, by the way, it would have faced a court date on February 3rd with a potential liability ranging in the billions. Of the agreed $375 million, around $115, as Tom Lawlor just stated, will be deducted for lawyer fees and commissions. Lawlor estimated that approximately 1,200 fighters will split the remaining $260 million for an average of about $217,000 per fighter. Payments will vary between athletes. Some will get less, some will get more. We'll get more insight on that. There's more on that on Uncrowned.com. So a huge deal. And 217, if you're a retired fighter, if that is in fact the number, nothing to sneeze at. Nothing to sneeze at all. And if you are a fighter watching this, I would advise you right now to go to this website. The website is ufcclassaction.com. That's ufcclassaction.com. That's where you can register yourself, put your name, your address, all that kind of stuff, and hopefully get on the path to getting the money that is owed to you. So very significant stuff. Can't wait to talk to Mr. Lawlor about that. Like I said, 308 this weekend. There's a Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk press conference going on right now in England. So a ton going on in the world of combat sports. But of course, on Wednesdays, we love to shoot, brother. And so it is time to answer some questions, courtesy of all our friends over at our Substack page, ArielHelwani.substack.com. And by the way, shout out to ArielHelwani.com. That's where you can get our merch. There's a ton of new shirts there, also some cups and mugs and whatnot. And shout out to my good friend Antoine Evans, who has done an incredible job over on the YouTube page. He has done a fantastic job, and he has just informed me, Frank, we have some breaking news. Memberships are now live on the YouTube channel. You can join right now. There's a pin link in the chat right now. There's also a link in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube, or just go to the membership tab right now at the very top. We've got 3 levels of members: the Heel Wannabes, the Heel Wannies, and the Knows-It-Alls. All 3 levels get access to the badges and custom emojis. GC, our guy, has created them all. Once again, he's done a fantastic job. and you get a free super chat a month. Heel Wannabes and Knows-It-Alls will also get a ton more content and access, everything from reactions to breaking news, exclusive live chats with the boys in the back and Mysterious Frank, ad-free replays of the Ariel Helwani show, and more. The Knows-It-Alls will also get to join me on ultra-exclusive Zoom calls. Knows-It-Alls are going to be canvassed whenever we are working on a new segment for the show. They will also get a major say on how this show develops, new segments that we bring to the table, so to speak. And to celebrate the launch, we are giving away 20 free memberships. These will be assigned randomly by the YouTube algorithm. So 20 free memberships. Thank you all very much for the support. And yes, someone did ask me, is it thumbs up to the chat or is it thumbs up in the chat? I know I've been saying both. I think it should probably be thumbs up to the chat. So thumbs up to the chat, thumbs up to the chat. Yeah, everyone.
But you're asking them to give you a thumbs up, right?
Yeah, I'm giving them the thumb
from the chat. Look, man, we can sidebar about that.
Yeah, let's sidebar. Thumbs up to the chat. Yeah, thumbs up to the chat. There it is. All right, I think that's all the stuff that I needed to get into. So let me get to some questions. Okay, this is from Jordan. Jordan Saucer. Hey Ariel, who do you think is the best role model in the UFC? That is a very tough question because I don't know if there is a singular one. I mean, I think that there's a ton. I think a Tom Aspinall. I'm just going off the top of my head. I think a Tom Aspinall is a great role model. I think a Michael Chandler is a great role model. I think a Leon Edwards is a great role model. I think of Wonderboy Thompson. Thank you. Hit me with some here. Wonderboy Thompson, great role model.
Brandon Royval.
Give me one. Who is it?
Brandon Royval. Remember, he was talking about what he wants to do.
Amazing. Yeah. That's a great shout, Pizzi. Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking for, right? What they stand for, what they represent. Volkanovski, Dustin Poirier. How about that one? Poirier is a great one as well. Max Holloway.
Did we say Holloway?
Hell yeah, Max Holloway is a great role model.
Could you imagine listing the ones that aren't so great?
Yes, I have a couple off the top of my head. I have a couple right now.
I knew it.
Those are maybe easier.
What about Francis? Follow your dreams. Believe in yourself.
Tom's a good role model.
Tom, I said.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, Francis is a tremendous shout. Jasmine.
Jazz Divizius.
Yeah, I would say she's a great one. So there are plenty. Chase, what's up, Ariel and crew? I know the last thing you want to do is talk crap about someone or disrespect someone for no reason, excuse me. But next time you have Don Davis on the show, can you please call him out on his BS? I watch every PFL fight, just like I do the UFC, so I'm not just being a hater. I just hope that it might help him chill with all the nonsense. This weekend he claimed best MMA card of the year. The 5v5 in PFL wins half. I don't know. He's writing in shorthand here, and this is tough. Equal fighter talent. Absolutely not. Cyborg Pacheco, two of the strongest female punchers ever. I was actually waiting for these PFL fights, and I love Fight Week media, but as soon as he starts talking, it just kills the whole vibe. I can't be the only person who feels this way. Okay, so I'm going to offer some advice to Don Davis because people have to understand a promoter's job is to promote. Excuse me. Back in the day, Dana White was trying to get attention. He was saying somewhat outlandish things, no different than this. And so it's up to you to decipher what you essentially want to believe and what you don't want to believe, what you view as just promotional hype and what you view as reality, what you view as a truth. My biggest issue with PFL right now, well, one of my issues is that I feel like when Don Davis does these interviews, and I like Don, I think he's a great character. Of the characters in their sort of executive unit, he's the most interesting one to talk to, in my opinion, because he does at least give you something to chew on. He's not speaking like an executive suit. I still feel, though, that he is speaking like someone who talks to investors, not someone who is talking to fans. So when he says things like, oh, we've got the best card of the year, an investor wouldn't know any different. An investor will be impressed by that. MMA fans are not impressed by that because they know the truth. They know that that wasn't the best card of the year. Was it the best PFL card of the year? Absolutely. Was it the best MMA card of the year? Absolutely not. And they will call BS on that, and they will feel offended, and they will feel slighted, and they will feel like, no, I don't want to give you my money because this annoys me. I still don't feel like PFL should be in the pay-per-view business. I still feel like they would be at their best. It would be prudent for them to not give away the championships on pay-per-view. If they want to do one a year, fine. Multiple a year is crazy in my opinion, and even one a year I think is pushing it. But what are we drawn to as fight fans? We are always drawn to characters as promoters, not suits, not executives, not people who don't feel authentic or don't feel like true fans. What do we love about Eddie Hearn? We love that when he's going down the card from top to bottom, he's talking to us like a fan. What did we love about Dana White in his heyday? He was talking to us like a fan. When those promoters are in their element and they're talking to us like a fan with excitement and not just telling us things that sound good, best fight card of the year, best female fight of the year, all this stuff, that stuff goes over our head. That stuff just kind of falls in front of us and just kind of lands in an empty way. And so I think that people get annoyed, the hardcores, the fans on Twitter, because they say, no, this isn't true. And as opposed to the way they felt about Scott Coker in the Strikeforce days, not the Bellator days, the Strikeforce days, where it was like, this is the little engine that could. I want to support Strikeforce. I want to wear their merch. I want to go to their events. I want to back them. I don't feel like that exists in PFL. In fact, I don't think that has existed in MMA since Strikeforce was sold to Zuffa in 2011. I don't think PFL has ever had it. I don't think WSOF has ever had it. I don't think Bellator ever had it in the Bjorn and or Scott Coker era. No one has what AEW has in wrestling, which is a tribal, dedicated, hardcore, fanatic fan base that will do anything, as crazy it may sound sometimes, to back their promotion, back their leader, back their fighters. MMA hasn't found that since Strikeforce. Prior to that, we had it with the likes of Pride. Elite XC didn't really have it. It's a special thing. And it's an ingredient that not everyone possesses. And right now, PFL doesn't possess that. They have incredible fighters. They can tell good stories. We saw that on Saturday. But this stuff, I agree with the general sentiment of what Chase is saying, but there's a greater issue here. Fight fans don't want a suit telling you X, Y, and Z when they know they don't believe it and they know it's not the truth. They don't want that. They want the real. And maybe that guy is Dan Hardy because his opinion is one that is rooted in experience and authenticity. And maybe he could tell us about it. The problem is, this is the other thing when it comes to promoters, you want to be able to believe and feel like this person is a decision maker. When Reed Harris was working for Zuffa, when they bought WEC, you know, when Reed sold it and his partner sold it to Zuffa, and then he was put in as a figurehead, as time went on, he wasn't an interesting person to talk to because you knew ultimately that talking to him, you weren't getting any real answers, any real insight. When Scott Coker was put in as the head of Strikeforce after Strikeforce was sold to Zuffa, it became very uninteresting to speak to him because his insights didn't really matter. You knew he wasn't the one making the fights. But that's why it's interesting to talk to Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren or Dana White. Even Chatri, as controversial as he may be sometimes, you want to talk to people who you believe are the actual decision makers. So that's why when people say, oh, when Dana retires, they should put Chael in there or DC in there, I say no. I want the guy making the decisions. I want the actual guy making the decisions. If that guy is Hunter Campbell, put him in there. Now, is he charismatic enough? Is he good on camera? We don't know. We will only find out once he starts doing this sort of things if he is in fact that guy. But it's not as easy as just put a guy up there and have him talk. So if Dan Hardy isn't the one making these decisions, then he is not of great use. He's good as an analyst. He's good as a talking head. He's good as a pundit. He's good as someone to speak to about the fights. But I want to know, what's the plan for this? What's the plan for that? Why do you know when they do those overseas events and Dave Shaw sits at the dais and everyone's like, he's saying nothing? It's because he's saying nothing. Because he doesn't want to step on anyone's toes, and they just put him up there as a suit to speak to the local media. So it's a very tricky thing. I think it's a fascinating thing. I love this part of the fight game, but it's not as easy as just throw someone out there. Okay, let's continue. Brandon, hello, Ariel and crew. Life has not been the same without you guys. It's been tough to keep the same level of interest in the sport for the last few months. Thank you for getting content out to us as often as you could during that time. Couldn't be happier to have you guys back in our lives. Congratulations. Continued success to all. Thank you. I'm just kind of going in order of the ones that were sent to us since yesterday. This is from Jesse. Any update on GC getting approved media credentials for Apex 100? Have you applied?
Yeah, application sent. Just waiting to hear back.
Okay. Also, Jesse asking, following up on last week's question, will anyone from Uncrowned be participating at UFC pre-post fight press conferences? I get this one a lot. Why do you guys care so much? Is it because you're like wondering if we'll be welcomed with open arms? Like, is
Can
there
I answer on their behalf?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I think it's because they feel a community with us and want to be represented at those events.
Sure, but those events rarely lead to anything significant. Like, we'll get these dudes on the show, we'll talk to them on the website. Why do you want us there so badly? Ultimately, and now that I'm more on the, I don't want to say management side of things, but you get what I'm saying. Like, the juice necessarily isn't always worth the squeeze in terms of, okay, what are you getting by traveling to these events? You get to sit there, you get to ask a couple questions, and then what? You know what I mean? Back in the day, you would go to these media days and you would get one-on-ones, you'd get access. Now, you could probably get them now that the COVID restrictions are gone. You'd have to just work a little harder and go to their hotel rooms and whatnot. I used to do this all the time. I just don't see a lot of that being done, if I'm being honest. It's all just the stuff that the UFC feeds, and that's fine. But more to the point, like, that's just what everyone's getting, so why do you need to be there as well? I don't know. I would prefer... For me, like, my mindset is I would prefer someone goes to Hawaii to spend 2 days with Max as opposed to spending the same kind of money to go to Abu Dhabi or even Las Vegas to cover a fight and just be a part of the cattle that gets the same stuff as everyone else. That being said, I'm sure we'll be there. And, we have been there. Like I've said before, Chuck Mindenhall was at the Sphere card, but I don't think it's as important as people make it out to be. Max83, hello, Ariel. Do you think we see 2 title eliminators this weekend in Bobby versus Khamzat and Rakic versus Ankalaev? I could certainly see the latter being a title eliminator. I can certainly see the former being one as well. If Bobby wins, for sure. If Khamzat wins, it's still unclear. PT, what do you think? If Khamzat wins, is he getting a title shot, or is this mystery of his travel issues still just that, a mystery?
Do they factor in, does Dricus du Plessis want to defend his title in the Middle East when they
it's crazy,
when they
right?
do this? Like, that's the situation we're in, though, without a doubt. I mean, I know people are kind of walking on eggshells around the subject, but it's blatantly obvious something is going on there. Ever since this guy came to the UFC, I think it isn't unfair to say he's the greatest prospect we ever saw when he emerged in 2020, I believe it was.
Yep.
And the way he was running through people, I think that's like, I think we wanted, as a fan base, as people who consume the sport, we want to see this guy in the title mix. But then I think you brought this up to me on a previous show. What if he wins? That means you are basically cordoning off a division's title to an area. Like that is what it means. He will only fight, he will only defend that title in Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia. What does that do to that situation? Like, what impact does that have? I want to see him fight for the title without a doubt, but I understand that there's a lot of baggage that comes along with this guy. I think if he goes in there and he has a performance like he did against Kevin Holland, it would be very hard to deny that opportunity to him. If it's more along the Usman and Gilbert Burns things, maybe people won't be as excited about that idea. I personally want to see him fight for the belt, but I understand that there's a lot of restriction that comes along with that with the UFC, right?
Yeah, you can't have a Middle East champion, right? Like, you can't have a guy who can
unless you're PFL.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but that's just like for their MENA and their Europe. But for the UFC, you can't do that. This needs to be rectified. Perhaps if 45 becomes 47, it gets rectified rather easily. This has been discussed. This has been discussed. Let's not get crazy. This has been discussed. I don't know. We don't know how deep this goes. We do know that he has a very close relationship with Ramzan Kadyrov, and perhaps this has been discussed as well. We don't know, but this is what is out there. This is part of the problem. We do not know. It is all just kind of very vague and ambiguous, and that's kind of been, the theme of his career. There's clips of me and DC talking about him in 2020. That's when we were doing our show for ESPN, when he burst on the scene with those 2 fights in 10 days, and then he came back in September, and all of a sudden now he's at 170 and 85, just killing his opponents, not getting touched. I said, if Khamzat Chimaev isn't a champion in the UFC at 70 or 85, by the end of 2021, something has gone horribly wrong.
Yeah.
It's the end of 2024. It's the end of 2024, and he hasn't even fought for a UFC title. It's insane.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. And one thing I will say about Khamzat is I think he gave an answer this week that I never expected to come from his mouth. I put it into the group for you guys earlier. Like him kind of saying to Red Corner MMA, like, yeah, I've been very depressed actually, ever since that COVID thing. I struggled at that point. I know that that's a very small quote, but I think I hope it represents something in Khamzat, like a turning of a corner. I really hope that it means that we're going to see more of him. But again, with this travel situation, who knows? You're probably right. We probably are waiting for 45 to become 47 if we want that to happen in the US or anything like that.
So let us see. Steve Wilson. Hey, Ariel, you guys are killing it. Well done, and thank you for all the hard work. My question is to ask, how do you cope when you're watching 2 fighters that you love, have a relationship with, and are eager for both to succeed? I was especially thinking ahead to the possible Juliana versus Kayla fight. And by the way, just want to send my best wishes to Kayla. She was in the hospital yesterday. I'm not really quite sure why. I reached out to her. She said she's okay. But if you look at her Instagram story, she's very clearly in a hospital bed. So I don't know if this is something that came up recently or was scheduled, but just want to send her our best. She did text me back saying all is good. So happy to hear that. Both of whom you seem to adore. It's happening more and more to me where I don't want either fighter to lose. And I can only assume it's been the case for you in many historical bouts as well. Give us your top tips and which bout was the hardest for you to watch in this regard. Up the Reds, Steve. I will be honest, I'm delighted by the fact that Juliana's fighting Kayla. I love the fact that Juliana's fighting Kayla. I don't necessarily root for winners. The only time where I felt like true nerves, like I felt something different inside, I will say there's been one time, it was DC's retirement fight. I really wanted him. I was doing the show with him. We were out of the closet with our friendship, so to speak. I wanted him to go out on top, but or at least have a good showing. But I don't really feel those kinds of nerves. I've said it before. I usually watch fights through the lens of, all right, who can we get on the show Monday? How do we get them? How easy is it to get them? X, Y, and Z. And so I did enjoy July, August, and September when that wasn't necessarily on my mind. But it's great to be back. Thumbs up to the chat. It's great to be back. I just kind of I look at it through that perspective as opposed to who I like, who I don't like. Ultimately, they're both in great spots. They're fighting for a belt, this particular duo. But, if it's other people, I don't know. I really think I do a pretty good job of not looking at them as friends or I'm a fan rooting them on. And so it's relatively easy for me. I mean, honest question, I'm not taking the piss here, PT, but like when you're watching Paul Hughes, you have a relationship with him. We're human beings. I used to try to like pretend that this didn't exist, but we're human beings. You connect with people, you have a relationship, you try to be unbiased, you try to tell it like it is. You certainly do so when it comes to a lot of Irish fighters. I don't think anyone can accuse you of being biased, but clearly there's a connection. There's a long-standing relationship with a Paul Hughes. When you see him on a stage like Saturday against McKee, do you feel anything?
Yeah, I think I do, especially when you've invested so much time in telling their story. That week in particular, he was on my show, The Crack on Fridays, as you all know.
Yes.
And he was obviously the subject of this big feature. I'd spoke to his mother. And in a way, you kind of want him to complete the story you've begin telling, right? So the whole story that week is about him overcoming these obstacles. And then everybody suddenly saying, why would you put this guy in against AJ McKee? The storyteller in you wants him to complete that. On a personal level, when you know intimately how much pain they've gone through to get to this moment, absolutely. You can't help but you can't help but want to see it go well for them. But at the same time, I think I do a good job of kind of separating any really big feelings on that in terms of this is sport. This is what they've chosen to do. You don't want to see guys get hurt. You don't want to see anyone in pain or anything like that. But doing this a long, long time now. I think you kind of learn to compartmentalize that. Like this has been throughout my whole life. Like when I started on this scene, you were watching guys who you knew very well fighting each other regularly. So I think you do get used to it. Certainly, if you've invested a lot of time in someone on a fight week, like I did with Paul, yeah, you feel invested in what they're going through, in their story. Part of you as a reporter or a journalist is kind of like, holy shit, I hope I didn't sell these people a pup on Paul Hughes. I hope he is. I hope he is the guy that he says he is. So that's pretty much the way I feel about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel the same. And I think you do a great job of it. I try to do my best. Some might say otherwise. But we try, PT. We always try. And yes, thank you for the reminder. Your show is live at 1 p.m. Eastern this Friday. The Crack.
Slip that in there.
Yeah, the critically acclaimed Crack. Damn, it's a tough one. Critically.
See how positive that
tough.
chat was?
Yeah, no, for sure. Ryder. What's up, Ariel and crew? Will there be a live show when the UFC comes to New York in a few weeks? I've been to the last 2 live shows at NJPAC and the Venetian, so would love if you guys did another live show. Also, who's going to be headlining 311 in California? Thank you, guys. No live show. You know why? Because there's a Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight the night before, so that kind of screwed everything up for us. I don't say that in a negative way, but remember last time we did it on the Friday before the Saturday card. And so I will be in Dallas working that card for Netflix, and so I won't be able to have a live show. Perhaps we will do one. I'm guessing the next time we do one is 2025. NJPAC was great. Venetian was great. 2 very different vibes, of course. One tickets, the other one no tickets. But enjoy them. Not the easiest things to do. I really, if I had 2 wishes, London, Dublin would be the ones that I would love to do next. If we could figure that out, I would be delighted. Would love, 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 love to do that. As for 311, the wind appears to be blowing in the direction of Arman Tsarukyan against Islam Makhachev. Not confirmed, not done. Please don't tweet that I said it's done, but that seems to be the direction, all right? So let's see. That is January in Cali. And by the way, if you're a member, if you're on the chat, you want to give us a super chat, I will answer every single one of those at the very end of the program. So once this is done, once the interviews are done, I will get to those at the end if you wanna hook it up over there. Okay, back to the questions. El Peruano, and by the way, great to see some of the old friends back. It feels like nothing has changed. Hola, Ariel. Have to agree with PT that Phil DeFries would be the best non-UFC heavyweight to fight Francis. Promoted as the lineal heavyweight champion fighting, I think the opponent doesn't matter as much. Can you share a bit behind the curtain? Are you and the boys independent contractors for Yahoo, or is Uncrowned a Helwani company that subcontracts to Yahoo? Gracias. Ooh, I love it. By the way, shout out to Big Phil. He is certainly in the mix. I know PT loved that one. The majority of the people who work on the program here are part of my company, and basically, if you really want to know the
Who, me?
Yeah, you really want to know how it works. I have a deal with Yahoo. And then I disperse. So if you're wondering the breakdown, Frank is by far the highest paid person on the team. Yes, and it is well deserved and earned. I'm not saying otherwise. And then there are other people who work on .com that are contracted through Yahoo. Ariel Helwani show and Uncrowned and all that IP and the content on the YouTube channel we own. And so it's kind of like a licensing deal. I would say if you want to equate it to something, it's similar to McAfee and ESPN on a much smaller scale. Don't get crazy. And so yeah, that's the breakdown. I think I gave it all to you there. Kevin Holland Oates. What's up, Ariel and crew? Much love from Chicago. What's everyone's go-to karaoke song? I'm dying to know. Frank.
Yes.
Okay, you weren't listening. Your go-to karaoke song.
Oh, that's easy. Yep. It's
Are you just not a karaoke guy?
There's I don't know if I want to admit to it here, but
Are you shitting me? Why?
I don't know. It's NWA.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm actually the real reason is I'm forgetting the name of the song.
Oh, okay. You could have just said that. So you actually were listening.
I was.
Oh, why don't you just say, I don't want to say it? Okay, what about GC?
I don't have a go-to karaoke song. I don't do karaoke enough. I've done it maybe twice in my whole life.
Twice.
How many times have you done it?
The last time I did it, I actually remember exactly where I was. It was July of 2004.
And you questioned me of only doing it.
Well, by the way, prior to that, I was on a string of 100 straight weekends of doing it.
Whoa.
So anyway, back in July of 2004, I had a broken ankle. It was my birthday, and we went to do karaoke, a little birthday party, and I sang, today is gonna be the day that we're gonna throw it back to you. You see, Pizza, you laugh, and you say that I'm not a hardcore Oasis fan and a Gallagher fan, but that is, in fact, the last time I did karaoke. It was Oasis.
What's the name of the song?
You're my wonder.
Oh, I didn't think you were gonna get it.
I
didn't think you were gonna
A
get it.
backbeat. The word is on the street that they got it in and die.
Nailing it.
Ariel, isn't it true
Rick
that
has a look
you're-
of disgust on his face right now. What is going on over there? It's just you haven't said a word. I don't think you've said a word. You've been shown, but you haven't said a word. Is everything okay?
Everything is fine.
You just have a look of disgust, like pure, utter disgust.
I react how I react. I'm
Wow.
sorry. Like the vibes were. No, well done. I like it. Good.
Do you have a karaoke?
I don't have a song. I do karaoke quite a bit.
Oh,
but
wow.
I tend to be the one who, when everybody else is like kind of shy or whatever, like whatever's up, I'll join you. I'll jump in. I'll sing anything. I don't care what it is. I don't care because I don't have a good voice. Like it's going to sound horrible, but I'll just be I'm in for whatever song. Because some people are like, they picked it, then they get scared, then they don't want to do it anymore. I'll just jump in and do it.
When's the last time you did it?
Last year?
Summer
Year before?
2004.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like you're legit.
Yeah, I go to K-Town right here.
Yeah, little barbecue.
You eat a good meal in K-Town and then you go do karaoke. That's how
Are
you
we
do it.
planning like a team morale booster? Are we going to K-Town to do some karaoke?
It doesn't sound like GC wants to go. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
someone's
I'm
got to be
down
the
for
sour.
it. If the whole team's going, I'll go.
By the way, why
Ariel,
do we
you
need
in?
a boost? Why do we need a boost, Frank? Why does the morale need to be boosted?
We were talking about going to the Canuck,
Yeah.
and we haven't done that yet. So I'm like, well, maybe it's because we're still workshopping what we want to do, and now I'm putting my bid in for karaoke.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Karaoke.
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it.
Uh,
It's on the books officially now.
all right.
I don't
Pizza,
think
you
we have
coming?
his
You gonna
buy-in.
fly in for it?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's all bullshit. Nobody is actually agreeing to this. You just want me to shut up. I get
It's
it.
never gonna happen.
That's fucking bullshit. We continue. Oops, I lost my spot. There it is. Okay. Oh, here's the guy, by the way. Kevin from Ottawa. Hey, guys, glad you're all back in our lives. 2 questions. Is it thumbs up in the chat or thumbs up to the chat? Because I'm pretty sure you've said both. And here's a good question. When the whole Patty drama went, it's to the chat, by the way, to the chat. When the whole Patty drama went down, there were accusations that you were making money off your guests based on how well your show does. We knew that wasn't true back then, but I'm just curious if with your new deal, that stuff affects you now. The idea of actually, like, we have produced thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours for free. We've not asked to pay, or you don't even, like, even the membership thing, you don't have to do it. This is just something that Ant loves to do, and so we're doing it. You can watch the show free, no problem. We're not behind a paywall. We'll never be behind a paywall as long as I'm around, unless something horribly goes wrong. I see even people like screen grabbing the membership thing, saying this is a sign that you're down bad. Like, it's free. This is just extra shit. Okay, great. It's a YouTube perk. Now, you still have to like make content, and by virtue of making said content, there are sponsors, ads, all that stuff. And so back when Patty was saying I was making money off the interviews off the YouTube channel, I mean, like, no one's doing anything, like I said back then, out of just the kindness of their heart. We're all trying to make a living. We're all trying to provide for our families and earn money, whether you're a fighter, a promoter, a ticket seller, a merch person, a journalist. Everyone has to live. Back then, I was not an owner of the MMA Fighting YouTube channel. Right now, it is my YouTube channel, but Yahoo takes it over as far as the sponsorship is concerned. So it's now considered something like a brand channel or something like that. And so as of right now, I don't get a cut of that. Down the line, I may, and now we're getting well into the nitty gritty. So the idea that like I'm profiting off the fighters is patently absurd. If someone writes a feature on a fighter and puts it in a newspaper, puts it in a magazine, if someone writes a feature on LeBron James and puts it in SI, and SI is something that has to be bought, are they profiting off the fighters? That's just how the world works. Everything is available in some way, shape, or form. Now, it could be for free on a website, but on that website, there's ads, and based on how many people go to the website and click on things, there's this CPM situation, or it could be a thing that you have to actually buy, like the New York Times or the Washington Post. That's how this all works. But the show hasn't changed. It's still free. It's still on YouTube. It's not behind a paywall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if this is like a gotcha question type of thing, or is it just, has it changed? I've always done the show the same way. People have profited off of the show 1,000%, whether it was Vox back in the day or ESPN or Spotify. That's just the way media works. No one is just working for free. I'd like to think that it's a mutually beneficial relationship. If you think otherwise, then so be it. But that's just how it works. No different than McAfee's show or Lebitard's show or Rich Eisen's show or Dan Patrick's show, etc.
And it also, by the way, like important to note, it operates in the reverse, right? The notoriety from utilizing platforms to get your name out then leads to an indirect benefit and profit and potential monetary compensation. And so, like, you're not asking for a cut of that on the back end of somebody appearing on the show as well. So it's like direct transactions are the ones that can be tracked. The ones that are not that is the game. That is the heart of it. But yes, nobody, nothing has changed in the nature of how you're doing the business part of it.
Thank you. You said that a lot more eloquently than me. By the way, I'm just Stardust on the chat. I was considering buying a 10-year membership, but if there's any Ariel singing content, I'm buying 20 years. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is now.
No.
Back to the questions we go. Can we get an update on Mrs. Helwani's composting habits? She's taken a step back. I cannot confirm nor deny whether or not it was because I outed her and her reckless ways, but she...
if you weren't helping and you had all that critique, I think it was wise to stop,
Yeah. So stay tuned. David Velasquez, hello, Ariel. I know you've been asked about it since the story came out on the day of the PFL pay-per-view. How do you think PFL handled the situation with Diane Silva, who for a month is currently in a coma as a result of the weight cutting? I know you are a pro-fighter safety and everything, but do you think it's Bush League on PFL's part to not release a statement about this horrific situation immediately after? I don't know about Bush League, but yeah, no, they should be as transparent as possible. I can understand them wanting to proceed with caution, but it shouldn't take a month for something like this to come out. Of course, I also saw people saying like, when are you guys going to cover this? We were literally like 5 days old at the time. Chill the fuck out. We were not a thing when this all happened. We have since covered it. Drake has been all over it. It's one thing to put an article out on a reputable platform. It's another to just tweet something out. So we have to do our due diligence. We have reached out to them for comment. They're not commenting right now, but as I read yesterday, Alex Davis has commented on it. We inserted that into the article. Doing our best here, guys. I love when we get journalism critique from people who have never been journalists. Now you could say, oh, Ariel, you critique promoters. You've never been a promoter. And that's fair. You can do whatever the hell you want. But I will just say, we are on it. We're doing our best. We're covering it. It's a horrific situation. The story should not be how we are or other people are covering it. The story should be what happened, what went wrong, will she get better, will she make a full recovery, how do we avoid this, how did they handle it, why did she keep cutting weight, etc., etc., etc. That's the story, in my opinion, not how the media is covering it, so to speak. But I can understand why there's interest in that, and we're covering it and doing our best. I don't want to say it's Bush League, but something should have been said. It shouldn't have come out a month later, so you can call it what you want. And I believe when it comes to these situations, transparency is king. It's all well and good to come out and talk about things when things are fine and dandy. You need to come out and sometimes address things in some way, shape, or form when they're ugly. And this is extremely sad and ugly. Ben, hello, Ariel and crew. Following on your discussion about potential opponents for Francis's next fight, can you imagine if the PFL went and somehow made Francis versus Brock Lesnar? Wow. I don't know if Brock is a full-on free agent. He might be at this point. That's fucking nuts. Could you imagine that? Brock Lesnar he's in his mid-40s for sure, and obviously is not in a great spot after the accusations and allegations came out regarding Janelle Grant and Vince McMahon. He's 47. I don't think that's happening, but that is a thought. I've not seen anyone throw that one out. Does anyone have interest in Brock Lesnar versus Francis Ngannou?
People would watch the shit out of that, man.
Yeah, man. If
Yeah.
you make the fight, I'm gonna watch it. Come on.
More interest than the alternatives, yes.
Apart from Phil DeFreeze, of course. Now.
Ngannou Popov
Apart
or
from Phil
Ngannou
DeFreeze, certainly.
God bless Dan Hardy. Yesterday he said the Popov and Gotsov. I'm like, Dan.
No, that ain't it.
If anything, Nemkov is more interesting than those two, right? If anything.
Nemkov's just so small, dude. He's
I
great,
know.
but he's just very small.
More than those two, though. I agree with that. I would rather watch Nemkov. But this is a major issue. Like, this is a major problem for the PFL. Like, you get Francis Ngannou, you win the sweepstakes, right? But are we losing some of the better years of Francis Ngannou's MMA career? Is a legitimate question to be asked, right? He is spending more time boxing, and when he is coming back to MMA, he's in what now, in hindsight, essentially amounted to a squash match, and the next one is not going to be particularly compelling either. It's a dilemma. You have the golden goose, you've got the guy, but now you're in a very difficult position. It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah. Again, I'm not clamoring to see Wilder, but he seems to be the biggest name out there.
In MMA or boxing, where are we doing it?
Anything. There was a time that they were thinking about it in MMA.
Man, I have so little
I just
interest
don't
in
think
that
that's
now.
happening. I think if anything, it'll be boxing.
Who do you think wins? Ngannou, Wilder, and boxing?
I don't
It's
know,
hard
so I
to-
want to see it.
It's hard at this point to
It's
pick
way more compelling,
Deontay
right?
Wilder.
It's way more compelling.
It is more compelling. It's very hard at this point to pick Deontay Wilder, which is wild to have said potentially even a year ago, but he's just looked like a shot fighter.
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
They have time, though, right? Like, that is one thing we have
There's
to give
no
them. Like,
rush,
Francis has said he wants to take time off now, and completely understandable after the year he's had. But you really hope they can come up with something good. You know, you want to see as many promotions thriving as possible. As Rick said, you have the guy that will get the eyeballs. There's only so many times you can go to well with Francis Ngannou is fighting again against this guy you may have heard of, you know?
I don't know if I've asked you guys this, so correct me if I did. Do you guys have any interest in Rico versus Francis?
Hell yes.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Hell yes.
In what discipline?
That's what I was just going to ask.
Any.
Special rules match.
Is this?
where
Do
can
you
kick
feel like
and
this is a
punch.
thing?
Rico, the difference between Rico and a lot of the guys we're listing is there's several differences. One, he's got a name and we know he's the best in his sport, right? For any of these other guys, if we're talking about the contenders in the PFL's tournament format, none of those guys are the best heavyweights in the world. That's just period, point blank. In MMA, they are not. Francis Ngannou has a claim to that. Tom Aspinall, John Jones. There's so many names before you can even get to these guys. With Rico Verhoeven, you've got a guy who, no debate, zero debate, there's not a counter argument, is the best kickboxer, the heavyweight kickboxer, and possibly the best kickboxer walking the planet right now. You can't say that about any of these other guys. You can't say that about Brock Lesnar, maybe the best pro wrestler, but that's not a combat discipline, and we don't really care about that. So he's faced Tyson Fury, who at the time many considered to be the best boxer. This feels like a comparable scenario there, and you've got that with him that you don't have anywhere else. You've also got a guy who's in his physical prime and continues to like dominate his sport. Again, you cannot say that about these other potential names. I'm very compelled by it. I don't think the fight itself will be very good if it is in MMA because Francis will dominate him, and I don't think the fight will be very good if it's in kickboxing because Rico will dominate him. So that's a difficulty. But if you put the names on paper, I think it's one of the more compelling matchups.
Yeah. Especially in like a stadium in Amsterdam or something like that.
In Amsterdam, this fight would go bananas.
Yeah.
Absolutely bananas. Rico is not just a combat celebrity in Amsterdam. He is a national celebrity. He is a mainstream celebrity. So yeah, he's more compelling to me than any of these other options. Again, because he is the best of the best of the best in his sport in his prime.
In front of that crowd too.
Oh my God, yeah.
But if you're Francis, are you like, yeah, I want to go to Holland and fight Rico Verhoeven?
I guess what are the other options though?
Home and away, one in Amsterdam in kickboxing, one in MMA in Africa.
In Africa?
Yeah, if they can send that deal, sign me up. I will be there for sure. But I don't know if I see that happening.
Is there any compelling rule set that you can put on this? Like what Rick
I don't want them to do. I don't want them to do like hybrid rules.
Nah, yeah. Don't give me
Pick
the
a
one
sport.
round kickboxing, 1 round MMA. Just choose
But I
one of
agree
the
with Rick that it's a wash either way. You know, like that's what makes it so tough.
Yeah, no. Listen, I think it's a little bit far fetched. It's Glory and PFL coming together. That's probably a tough one right now.
Are there no UFC top heavyweights that could be that could shake loose that are one deal left, like one fight left?
No, we thought Derek was that guy.
I thought Derek Lewis would be the guy. That didn't come to fruition. Is there nobody else? Is that
not
a
does
thing?
Pavlovich have?
I won't pretend to know everyone's contract status, but I don't know if there's anyone who's that big to begin with. Like if Sergey Spivak becomes a free agent, does that make that big of a difference?
Yeah, probably not. You need like a Derek Lewis.
There's only like 3-4 guys that matter. Doesn't really matter if Alexander Volkov becomes a free agent. Does it really matter?
What you really need is somebody with some name value to decide that they want to be the one to do it. That like the way Francis decided, I am going to be the one to buck the trend and not take the UFC's offer and be the biggest free agent that another promotion is going to land. You need somebody else to be the second. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be happening at the moment. And so we've been left with less than ideal options.
Hey, shout out to Combat Sports Today. He says, make Francis versus Rico in a stadium in France with Doumbé, Lazy King, and others. Ronaldo and Mbappe will be there. Not a bad shout.
Yeah,
not a bad
at
shout.
all.
That would be
It
gigantic.
would be a massive show.
You could do that at Parc des Princes. You know what I'm talking about? Where PSG, you know what's up with Parc des Princes. Also want to give a shout out to A on YouTube. He just gifted 50 memberships to the crew over there. Thank you, A, whoever you may be. Another super chatter, JTV asks, first timer commenting, just wanted to see what you thought about this far-fetched idea. If Trump gets elected, do you think we would be able to see travel bans lifted from UFC fighters like Khamzat? No idea how that all works. But I certainly think it could help. It won't hurt.
It's hell. Like, I mean, come on. We know what happened.
That's
Darren Till what happened.
Right, exactly. That's a good point. This is from Travis. Ariel, you caused me to lose a bet. I bet a friend that you would answer my question last week and you didn't, but I understand you may be afraid. The classic. I mean, it's literally, I'm going in chronological order, so congratulations, despite the fact that you said anything goes. I'm trying this again. This is your first election in America to vote as a citizen. Who will you be casting your vote for in the election for the 47th president? You mentioned to Money Moicano last week that it shouldn't be taboo to ask someone who they're voting for, which I agree too. I couldn't agree more. I agree with my statement. I don't think that should be taboo. Frank, should I build this up into a thing? Like maybe we could do a live stream. Maybe we can follow me. What do you think?
A live stream like on election day?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. 100%.
Oh, you know what? That's a great idea, Frank. Should we do an election day watch party?
Absolutely.
And I can you guys follow me to the polling station? Is that what it's called?
You're not early voting?
No. Are you?
Yeah.
Have you voted already?
Absolutely.
Serious?
Dead serious.
Do you go? How does that work? Do you go physically or do you?
It's in the building that I work at. Yeah.
You mean this building?
Yep, that's the building I'm talking
There's
about.
an early voting thing here?
Nah, Frank has like 8 jobs.
Oh.
He's always like, I'm at this studio. I'm at that studio.
Sir.
It's like, cool,
Excuse me. By the way, as you know,
How am I sounded?
I hear Shaheen there.
You're sounding great. Shaheen.
You sound fantastic.
You are going out over the air.
Wait, so is that true? Can we actually vote here?
No, not here.
Oh.
Mail-in, early voting. I
Well,
think you might have missed the window. You're gonna have to go to the actual poll.
I mean, I'm happy. Here's what I'd say. the reason I became an American citizen, was because in 2020, as an adult, as a parent, stuff like that, I got tired of sitting on the sidelines. Everyone's going crazy. I live here. I've been now living here longer than I have in Canada. I moved from Canada to the US in 2001. I just turned 19, and so I guess 20 years after that would be 22, right? Yeah. No, 21. So 21, 22, I had surpassed my time in Canada, which is kind of mind-blowing. And so I said, okay, for the next one, I want to take part. A lot of shit has happened since that election. And I will say, as of right now, this is a shoot. This is an absolute shoot. As of right now, I don't think I will be voting. And that's crazy because I went through this whole process and paid a lot of money to become a citizen. And I had to go get sworn in, X, Y, and Z. I had to go do all that only to not exercise my right to vote. And the reason for that is I would say that I'm historically a little bit more left-leaning than right. I would say my family, as I've said on this show many times, and that's why I always laugh when people will say, like, I'm liberal, I'm snowflake, this and that. My family has always been right-leaning, in particular because of the politics in Canada, and in particular because historically right-leaning people are, extremely pro-Israel, and that's obviously the most important topic to me. And so I've battled with my brother and my father over this. I am not a fan of Kamala Harris. I will just say that outright. And obviously Trump brings his own issues as well. It's a tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. But I think as of right this moment, I don't think I will be voting. And that blows my mind because I never would have predicted this 4 years ago when I was put in this position. I do think it's going to be supremely close. I think it's going to be as tight as it was 4 years ago. And that's why I would like to do a watch party, by the way. But I will say to all those people who call me a snowflake, call me this and that, we're probably a lot more similar these days. And the boys in the back can attest to this than you think. And we don't need to get down this rabbit hole. I'm happy to go down it if you guys would like. We're kind of out of time here for this particular segment. But I'm happy to explain why I'm at this point in my life and why I view things the way I view them right now. But I will just say unequivocally, I think it would be a huge mistake if Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States. I don't think she's presidential. I don't think she's the person for the job. And I think the way in which we got to her being the Democratic presidential nominee was a sham and very undemocratic, if you ask me. So I don't like that we have been saddled with two substandard options. That's a bummer. But hey, them's the breaks. I'll tell you who I do love. Frank, are you familiar with a gentleman named Pierre Poilievre?
I'm not.
You got to look him up. He is our Lord and Savior. He is our hero. He is the one that is going to change everything in the Western world. He is the future Prime Minister of Canada, and he is the freaking man. If I can meet one celebrity right now and shake their hand, it would be Pierre Poilievre. If I can meet one celebrity on the planet, it would be that man. I think that guy is incredible, and I wish we had someone like him leading the way here in America. All right. With that, thank you very much for the questions. I appreciate you all very much. UFC 308, and we could get to more on the back end, including super chats. And I believe some are coming in here, but we're out of time. Still to come, we've got Tom Lawlor. We've got Regis Prograis. We've got Rico Verhoeven and Arnold Allen, one of our own coming up at 2:30. But for now, I wanted to talk a little more about UFC 308, and I wanted to talk to two of the men leading the charge over at Uncrowned.com. They once did a little show together. Before 3PAC, there was the man and the myth. We had Chuck Mindenhall, the man in the hat, the mayor of the Nutmeg State, and we had Shaheen Al-Shatti, the now editor-in-chief of Uncrowned.com, and there they are. The man and the myth.
What's up, fellas?
Chuck, what is this?
What's going on?
Listen. You said you were going to meet a celebrity. I thought you were segue. You're so masterful at these segues. I thought you were going to say the name here, the myth. But no. Pierre wins on this one. Fellas, I'm representing
I really didn't
Denver.
know we were.
I'm representing
really didn't
Denver
know
guys
we
because
were-
I know you guys are fledgling fans just like me, and it's been a full year since I've been able to taste that championship. So I know you guys can relate to the frustrations I'm feeling over here in Denver.
Look at this guy.
Oh, get out of here! We're doing this already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we doing it.
I noticed Shaheen, the flag is front. That flag isn't usually up there, and now
No.
it's just like smacking me
Special
in the
occasion
face.
flag.
When does the season start, by the way? Do you guys know?
Oh boy,
I think like
it was a sort.
Okay.
yeah.
We don't need to get too far.
Chuck, you feeling good about that cap situation? You feeling good about this max contract for Aaron
They
Gordon?
got my boy
Jamal
locked
Murray?
up. They got
He's
Gordon
really,
locked up.
Jamal Murray's been killing it, man. You guys are great.
I will say this, and we don't need to go too far into this. When Mikal Bridges got traded to the Knicks, there was one person who was banging the drum that I'm going to be the happiest person on the planet. That is Shaheen. Did I get that wrong? No, it would be that way. That is Shaheen Al-Shatti. You didn't tell me that he was going to start shooting like Ben Simmons all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on over there, but thanks. Things are looking great. The confidence is very high.
I really don't know why you guys broke Mikal. He's like my favorite son since Steve Nash.
Yeah.
He does not look like he used to. I don't know what this is going on. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, me neither. But we'll figure it out. I have no doubt about that. Chuck, I will start with you. UFC 308, sure. Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria. You just posted an amazing article on uncrowned.com, cheap plug, entitled "The Cult of Max Holloway." What does that mean? What does the cult of Max Holloway mean to you?
You might remember the time that you and I did a piece on Nate Diaz, where we were you did the narrative and I wrote the piece. I kind of see him in that same vein. He's a guy where wins and losses don't tell the story of a guy like Max, but it's somehow his longevity, his lovability, his character, just bringing the nation, bringing Hawaii into the picture. It's all of those things, facing the baddest man on the planet, the point downs, taking ill-advised fights, kind of ignoring his public at times and coming out on the right side of these challenges like he did with Justin Gaethje. It all just adds up to this very specific kind of figure who I think almost transcends belts at this point. And that's how I kind of judge it. I was like, have we entered that cult phase where it doesn't really matter? Max Holloway is just a cult figure in our game. He kind of is. And he's weird because he warps your sense of time. Coming in at UFC at 20 years old, he's been in it for a dozen years. He's only 32 years old. This is most guys' prime. He's been in a lot of fights, obviously a lot of wars, but it's crazy that he's only 32 years old and he's in this spot.
Shaheen, I listened to Ilia, and you listen to the confidence, and you listen to the way in which he speaks about what he is going to do to Max. And it is, I hate to say it because I know Max calls him a Conor copycat, but it does feel like the first time since Conor that we have someone who is just so blatantly, for lack of a better word, disrespectful about who is in front of him. And I don't mean disrespectful like he talks about Max's family or, he actually is quite complimentary of him. Even when they did the face-to-face with Brendan Fitzgerald, he said like, oh yeah, I did watch you. I did look up to you. I did want to fight you. But he dismisses him as a threat so easily and just so like, yeah, this is going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be even easier than the Volk fight. It does feel somewhat reminiscent of Conor circa 2015, 2016, does it not?
I mean, people are going to hate that, but it does, right? Because all three of us were around during that rise, and there's a special recipe, like a secret sauce that comes into play when you have someone who's sort of calling their shot in the way that Conor did, in the way that Ilia has so far, right? I mean, Mystic Mac, that was the whole legend with Conor before he was even a champion. He's calling his, hey, first round knockout, this is going to be a second round knockout, et cetera, and almost every single time it seemed to prove true. To see someone be as disrespectful to a legend like Jose Aldo as Conor did for so long, the world tour, all of it, it's very reminiscent of now what we've seen with Ilia. I mean, this is a man who changed his Instagram bio to UFC featherweight champion long before he ever knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. Usually you go into these type of fights, these type of title defenses or title challenges, whether it's the Volk or the Holloway one for Ilia, and there's a level of reverentialness, there's a level of deferentialness as well that the non-legend brings into it, right? Of, okay, like I'm here to win. I know I can win, but also this guy standing across from me has done X, Y, Z, and it's incredible. And, I hold him in very high regard. That is completely absent for the most part for Ilia. And it's certainly like, it's a welcome, just it freshens up a fight week, if nothing else, right? Because we're so accustomed to the cut and paste nature of the UFC. If you have someone marching around with this much bravado, marching around, puffing their chest out to this insane degree to where you're fighting Max Holloway and you're telling me that it's going to be easy months after I just saw Max essentially commit murder on national television against Justin Gaethje, like years and years of all of these incredible Max Holloway moments that Chuck so aptly summed up in his column today, in his article today. It's really, frankly, like unusual, but like just it's a car crash in the sense that you can't look away. This is my most anticipated fight of 2024, or at least what we have left on the calendar. I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, it feels like a 50-50 fight, despite the fact that Ilya is so dismissive of Max. And I have to say, I didn't see this coming, Chuck. I really didn't see this coming in this sense. After the third Volkanovski fight, I thought, okay, now here comes the crash, so to speak. Like, he's not getting knocked out, but he's in there for a long time. He's taking a lot of shots. He's been fighting for a very long time. We saw him as, a super young kid all those years ago. What was it, 2012? Or early 2013 when we were first introduced to him. No, I think it was 2012 off the top of my head.
He's a 20-year-old. He was the youngest guy in the UFC.
20-year-old against Dustin Poirier, right? So it's been a long-ass time. And then since then, Arnold Allen, Korean Zombie, and then the Gaethje fight that Shaheen just mentioned. I didn't see this coming, and I still do wonder at some point, okay, it comes for everyone, right? Like that falling off a cliff, especially when you put yourself out there like he does, comes and gets everyone. Is there any part of you that thinks it is coming on Saturday?
There's always that possibility, and I think a guy like that carries the kind of power that Ilya does, he raises a specific kind of danger for a guy like Max who gets hit. I think we saw it's like 2,000 some significant strikes he's eaten over the course of his career. So that's always like a factor. But then you think back to some of the fights where I thought that Max was at that point, like Brian Ortega, for instance. When he's fighting Brian Ortega, it was already at the cusp of like maybe he's already losing his shine. The Calvin Kattar fight on ABC, he landed 735 total significant strikes over the course of those two fights. It's absurd what he's able to do sometimes, and just make adjustments, the kind of space he creates in between, the kind of rhythms he finds within these fights. It's just, I never would have seen it coming that he was going to get into this spot, but he's getting a little more masterful actually at how to handle these fights as time goes on. And that's what makes this so intriguing to me, man. It's just, you got a guy with power. If he can't get Max out of there in the first couple of rounds, what does that look like? I just feel like Max, he could be turning it on at that point. And I mean, it could be Max's fight. It's just, this is one of those true 50-50 fights for me.
Shaheen, go ahead.
Just if I could add to that, frankly, it's reaching a point where it's without parallel, right? Like, because we've seen younger guys come into this game, start at the age that Max started in the UFC, and then they reach a certain point, and especially right around now in their early 30s, especially if they've gone through the type of wars that Max had. Chuck mentioned the significant strike numbers that he's eaten, not the ones that he's landed. I always think back to Rory McDonald, right? Rory McDonald comes into the UFC, immediate title contender, challenges for the title. In his early 20s, he was supposed to be that next guy. And then by the time he's in his 30s, he's flaming out. He's very much done. He's over it. It's just been too much on his body. And he's out of the sport by his early 30s or his mid 30s, essentially. For what Max is doing is just crazy at this point. It's almost without parallel in the sense that, like, Jose Aldo is really the only other lighter weight fighter I can think of, just off the top of my head at least, that has been able to extend his career and can maintain at this peak, absolute apex level this deep into it. It's because it's not how old you are, right? It's fight years, and the fight years have added up so much to Max. There's been so many moments where it felt like, just as Chuck said, that the bottom was about to fall out. Even that Brian Ortega one, that was right after Max had that very bizarre interview before the Khabib fight that never happened, and it just felt like he was almost like the CTE was already like kind of being, you were able to see it almost because he was like slurring his words, and he was in his mid-20s at that point.
Yeah. We
are so far removed from that at this point, and he seems like he's getting better. Like when that Justin Gaethje fight was booked earlier this year, I was one of the dumb ones, genuinely worried for Max, because I was there in Atlanta when he fought Dustin Poirier at lightweight, and took so much damage against Dustin Poirier. And it's like, we've seen this before. And that felt like the same thing was going to happen again. And then he pulls off the knockout of forever. And it's incredible, the 9 lives that this man has had. And the fact that at this point it's 2024 and he probably is the best version of himself that we have ever seen.
Those are two really good callbacks. Also, "Knockout of Forever" is a great line. We all remember how he sounded in that UFC Tonight interview. That was 2018. That was 2018 when he's speaking like that, and then he gets pulled from that fight. And then we all remember a year later in Atlanta, the damage that he took against Poirier. And I think everyone probably thought like there's a year or two left here. Now it's 2024, and here he is fighting for a belt, a well-earned belt. It's not like he's being gifted this. But yesterday, Dan Hardy did mention to us he thinks he's better suited at 55 these days. We do forget the concern, oh my God, he's going back to 55 against Gaethje. Holy shit, he's going to get smoked. This is a mistake. He's that close to a title shot. And then look what he does. And now no one is speaking about that. And I sort of forgot about that concern until Hardy mentioned it yesterday. You do notice his face is sunken in. You do notice that it is gaunt. Do you agree with that, Chuck? Do you think that he is better at 55, or does it not matter these days with Max because he is just so damn good?
I mean, he's looked good at both weights, but I honestly do believe like you get into a certain age with that weight cut, man, and he does cut weight. I mean, it's like it's obvious that he has to cut down to 145, and it's a strain. I think after seeing the Gaethje fight, it changed my mind a little bit. I was basing all evidence, just like Sean was saying, basically on that first Poirier fight, or the second Poirier fight, I guess, but the one that they fought at 155. And he looked undersized. I think that he would be better off long term if he's how long he wants to go at lightweight. I think that at some point, man, you get into your 30s like that, and so many wars. Like, what is this? His 30th pro fight or his 30th fight in the UFC? I think it just comes a time where it makes sense to be at 155 for him.
What are you leaning towards, Shaheen? What are you thinking? What are you feeling right now? I just combined thinking, feeling, and thinking right there. I said thinking. What do you? You know what? I might run with that. What are you feeling, and what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
It fits with what this week is, right?
Yes.
Because this very much feels like a vibes type of week, just because of this magical run that Max is on. This run that, again, 2 years ago felt so impossible after he loses for a third time against Volkanovski, and it feels like the bottom is we finally reached it, or at least it's about to fall out. It's difficult for me because I started this year predicting that Ilia Topuria was going to end the year as champion. He has felt to me from the moment I saw him first in the UFC, from the inception of all of this run, that he has carried every element of just a guy who's going to carry this belt for a long, long time. Maybe not in the featherweight division. There are not long-time champions outside of Jose Aldo. I mean, I guess that's not true. Max and Volk had it for a good time, but there's not like a John Jones-esque type of champion who carries it for a long time. But Ilia felt like a guy who could reach that Max Volk level to me in terms of longevity. But just the vibes, man. This feels like a vibes pick for me. I know that's not the most technical breakdown, but I'm just so impressed by what Max has been able to do, and the fortitude and just the strength to continue to grow and carry on in these lighter weight divisions and fend back challenger after challenger after challenger. If you look, Chuck mentioned the 30 UFC fights. If you look at the last 20, I bet you there's not a bad name in that bunch. This man has faced killers left, right, and center for years upon years upon years, stacking bodies, and it still just continues. It's just crazy to me. So just on vibes alone, I feel like this is the completion of a story, right? This does feel like this type of rare instance we get in some of these title fights where a story is being written, a movie is being filmed, and this is Max Holloway's movie. No one thought he would be able to come back and win this featherweight title, and all of a sudden this perfect confluence of events happens. He has this incredible year. And I think by the end of this year, we're going to be talking about a real debate, whether it's Alex Pereira or Max Holloway for Fighter of the Year, because I think Max goes in there and gets it done and just completes this in incredible fashion.
Wow.
This guy.
That was something. By the way, that would be incredible. There's still no chance he's the Fighter of the Year. Come on, you can't do that to Alex.
No, I think he makes it a debate. Obviously, it's Alex because the whole year has been about Alex, right? He has saved the UFC, has single-handedly carried the UFC on his back. But if Max goes in there and scores a knockout or just does something outrageous, as Max tends to do in these moments, and then we have the Gaethje knockout on top of that, there will be people making that debate.
Fair. What about you, Chuck? What are you thinking?
What if Max wins this fight and then fights again in December and wins that one? Is he your Fighter of the Year then?
Okay, now we've got something.
Okay, all right. This is one of the tougher ones, man. I've gone back and forth, but I think I'm leaning on Ilia in the end. And the reason being is we've seen guys like him, 27 years old, not quite like him. Obviously, he represents a whole different type of new blood in this game, man. Like he's that good. 5 finishes in his first 7 fights, and he seems like he's built for the spotlight. But man, I just don't see his reign ending this quickly. And I feel like he's still got, like, a lot of times when we're talking about younger guys who get a lot coming to them early, complacency sets in. They have to learn a hard lesson. I don't feel like he's anywhere near that yet. I feel like he's still in that prove it mode. And this is such a big name in the industry, Max Holloway. So I think he's given it his full attention. I think it means the world to him to go in there and win this fight. And I just think his power is going to translate. I think once he, I know Max has that granite chin, man, but once he lands that kind of power, Topuria's power on him, I could see the end coming pretty quick for Max. As crazy as it is, because I wrote this piece and I was trying to convince myself, I'm still leaning Ilya on this one.
One fun little storyline this week is just, to me at least, the fact that Volk is everywhere. Like, I keep just seeing him walking around the hotel. He's shaking hands. He's just letting everyone know, I'm here, I'm fit, I'm ready to go, I got next. If you're Alex Volkanovski, Shaheen, what's the better scenario for you? Because there are some guys coming up, maybe no clear-cut better answer, but there are some guys who haven't had a chance to fight for the belt at 145. Are you rooting for Max, who you have those wins against, or are you rooting for Topuria, who beat you back in February?
I think if I'm Alex, I'm probably rooting for Ilya just because that's the type of guy that Alex is. To me, I would rather not, like, if I'm Alex, I would rather not fight Ilya again. It feels like that's just a very poor stylistic matchup for him. He obviously has Max's number. I think if you're Alex, you have a clearer path to win that belt back if Max wins. But, Volk's the type of guy, he wants that one back, and that's all he's been thinking about for months. So I'm sure he wants Ilya to win just because, again, I don't know that the appetite is there for Volk Max 4, even if this is a reverse type of situation where Max is the champion. But I think either way, Volk is golden. He's got next regardless. So I'm sure it isn't too important to him.
What do you think, Chuck? If you're Volk, who are you rooting for?
I agree with Sean. I think that's probably the scenario. I agree that he could beat Holloway. Like, we've seen this, obviously, but how much can you keep getting up for the same fight? I know that he's in a position where he has to, otherwise he just starts to go away from the top 5. But I think that he's a competitor that way, man. I think that's he's going to want Ilya. He's going to want to get that back. We saw it with Islam, right? He wanted that one back. He took a very ill-advised fight, and I think he's in that situation again.
Do you guys think there's any scenario, and I'll ask you, Shaheen, do you think there's any scenario where it's not Volk next? Is it possible it goes to Diego Lopez? If one or the other wins, is it possible? I heard Yair Rodriguez saying perhaps Arnold Allen is next for him, so I don't think he's necessarily in the mix. It seems like Diego's the only one that could screw this up. Do you think there's any scenario, meaning if this guy wins or if that guy wins, where Diego usurps Volk?
No. I mean, right now, this is the 3 kings of the division, right? It's Max, Ilya, and Volk. We're going to do this round robin for at least another little bit before we start moving on to other names, and it's deserved. I mean, 2 of these guys have incredible legacies, and another one seems like the next guy to build an incredible legacy. So, barring injury, it has to be Volk in my mind.
Chuck, we were talking earlier about whether or not Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev is a number 1 contender fight. You never know these days. Who the hell knows? And what does it all really mean? It's a fantastic fight, and it feels like it could potentially be the referendum that we have been waiting on who Khamzat really is, right? He fights once a year. He has a good performance. He doesn't have a good performance. We thought he'd be champion by now, but you get by Robert Whittaker, you're championship material. Just ask Dricus du Plessis. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What is your sense saying about Khamzat and whether or not he can actually get by this test? Because I have to say, everything Robert is saying, the confidence he's exuding, and just his look, like you see the photos of him, the guy looks like he's on point. He just fought back in June. He's getting right back in there. Strong performance against Aliskerov. Wiped away any doubt that he is still one of the top dogs at 85. I really am curious to see if Khamzat could get by this test, and I wouldn't be surprised if he can't, just because Whittaker is just still that damn good.
I mean, the Aliskerov fight to me seemed very scary for Whittaker, given the circumstances where it's a switching opponent. And look how he handled that. Less than 2 minutes, man. He puts him away, and it was just one of those performances where you're like, why would I ever doubt Robert Whittaker? I love this fight. See, both of these fights are so fascinating to me at the top, because Robert Whittaker, we've seen for years what a savage he is, but we've also seen him lose, to Dricus du Plessis, where it didn't seem like he was on the same level, and it was crazy. It was shocking in that sense. So you're not exactly sure what you're going to get here, But I do think that like with Chimaev, this is the big prove it moment in my mind. I mean, obviously, like fighting a guy like Usman in his last fight was a big deal, but this is a guy who traditionally doesn't fight at this weight class. And we've seen him, we saw him beat a guy like Holland, but of course that's a tailor-made fight for him. So to me, it's like you get into a situation where if you can get through and especially go right through a guy like Robert Whittaker, it becomes very compelling. And I think that all of those original, us dog-earing this guy and saying like he's going to be the next champion of that division, it comes roaring back to life. But the reason it has died down so much is, like you said, inactivity, the 50-50 nature of will he show up on fight night, his kind of visa issues or whatever, can he fight outside of the Middle East, all these things coming in, they'll all go away, at least for a minute, if he's able to do that kind of work against Whittaker.
So who are you leaning towards, Chuck?
I'm going to lean towards Chimaev, but I hate doing this because I think last time I declared that I wouldn't go against Whittaker again. But man, there's just I still think that the times when Chimaev is on and he's just ragdolling guys in there and just relentless and just the pressure and everything else, I don't think he gets beat. So I'm going to go off of that. Like the best form of him will prevail over even Robert Whittaker and his doggedness. I think that in the end, he'll be too much for Rob.
What do you think, Shaheen?
So funny to call this his prove it moment. It feels like we've had 20 different prove it moments with Khamzat, especially 2 years ago against Gilbert Burns. That was the prove it moment, and then it ended up leading to nothing. No, you're right though. You're 100% right. It's just a very bizarre. Like I can't think of a lot of comparisons for the weird nature of this career that we've watched with Khamzat so far and how elongated it's gotten, just like artificially almost. To me, I agree with everything you said, Chuck, but I cannot get the Kamaru Usman fight out of my mind. The fact that the watching Khamzat fade down the stretch, just as he did against Gilbert Burns a little bit as well. Bobby Knuckles is not that guy, man. Like you cannot do that against Robert Whittaker. He's going to be in there from bell to bell, and he's going to be pushing the action the entire time. Middleweight is just a different demon than welterweight. I don't know, man. It's hard for me at this point to pick against Robert Whittaker just based on how unreliable Khamzat has been. And just like, again, some of these performances, man, are not the world-beating performances that we expected from this man. So I've been on the Khamzat train forever. Every single year for the past several years, I've predicted that he's going to end the year as champion. It feels foolish to maybe jump off now when that maybe is actually about to start happening. But I just can't pick against Robert Whittaker in this fight. This just feels like Robert Whittaker's moment to have his y'all must have forgot type of performance.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Sean's repping the old guys, like old guard. I love it.
I like it. I like it. He is an old soul. There's no doubt about that. And I could see it happening. I'm looking right now. As of right now, according to BetMGM, Topuria minus 250, Holloway plus 200. And with regards to this co-main event fight, 5 rounds, by the way, minus 275 Khamzat, plus 210 Robert. I 100% think that the 2 extra rounds favors Whittaker. I think everyone would agree, right? Based on the cardio issues that we saw against Gilbert Burns for Khamzat. So I think that that's going to be fascinating theater. And I don't know how exciting Ankalaev Rakic will be, but I think the stakes are massive. I think there is a world where if Ankalaev wins via decision, he's not getting a title shot. I think Ankalaev has to do something spectacular, and it's a wild thing. And I think if Rakic wins, the UFC gives them like triple the bonus to be like, thank you very much. We appreciate everything you've done. You agree, Chuck?
Well, we just did it runs tomorrow. We just did a roundtable basically asking this very question. And what you said echoes exactly what I was saying. It's like get Cry Live warming up in the bullpen,
Yeah.
That's kind of they're gonna expedite somebody else. Man. They'll find a way.
What do you think?
It's so unfair. It's so unfair. Like Ankalaev has gotten this weird reputation as this boring guy who puts on these boring fights. The Jan Blachowicz fight was a perfectly fine fight. It was actually like a pretty good show of heart by Ankalaev to be able to push through the leg kick situation, like really perform as well as he did in the later rounds. Comes back, knocks out Johnny Walker after the weird one in the first fight. And he still just has this rep because Dana White had a bad night that night against whatever the Blachowicz night was, and just really like buried them in a crazy way for no reason. Ankalaev is like a perfectly fine fighter. He's not that interesting outside of the cage, but he's going to have to win 40 fights in a row to get a shot at Alex Pereira. It's ridiculous the way this is playing out.
If he gets a stoppage, though, I think he gets it, right? If he gets a stoppage.
You have to.
Maybe.
And for the record, I don't think this is fair. I think if he wins, he should get it. I don't think this is fair. I'm just saying what it seems to be. I think winning streaks should mean something. I didn't think it was fair when Leon didn't get it. I didn't think it was fair when Bilal didn't get it. I don't think it's fair that Magomed isn't getting it. Sometimes the best guy isn't the flashiest, most exciting guy, but the UFC is staring at a period now where a lot of not so flashy, not so exciting, not so popular guys are becoming champions, and I think they're trying to curb that as much as possible.
The dude is unbeaten in his 12 fights in the UFC, like in a row, right? Dozen fights after the fixed fight against Paul Craig, which we've talked about. But so he's on this kind of roll. I don't think you can deny him, but I just don't think. I don't get any indication. I know that they didn't want to be in the Bilal business necessarily. I kind of feel like they don't want to be in the Uncle Ive business. I pointed this out. It's like,
kind of
pudding.
Yeah,
but they definitely don't.
But it's one of those things, like, especially when you have Pereira, like, you finally have this golden goose who's like doing it all for you, and he's doing like compelling, casual eyes to your sport and everything like that. It gets very murky very quick when you look at all the politics inside of that and why they wouldn't want him there. But like I said, I was saying, like, tapioca pudding. Nobody wants to market tapioca pudding. It's like, it's one of those type of things. And unfortunately, that's where Uncle Ive is right now.
There's actually a great rice pudding spot here in New York called From Rice to Riches. It's still standing after like 15 years. So, I mean, I don't know if that's...
I'll have to check that out.
I don't know if that's rice pudding and is tapioca the same as rice pudding. I don't know, but pretty darn
I think
close.
they're different pellets. I don't know. It's like little gelatinous things. I don't know what that is.
Definitely not the same thing.
Definitely not the same.
Tapioca pudding is just the greatest comparison that I've ever heard from. And that's you can only get this from the Myth.
I agree. You've got Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. Lerone on fire. Ige's got all the fan support after what he did back in June. Shower bullet against Armin Petrosian, and a fight that's completely flying under the radar. Jeff Neal versus RDA. Rafael Dos Anjos. A ton of coverage over at uncrowned.com. Shaheen just absolutely killing it as editor-in-chief.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, I don't know if he's slept yet in the last few weeks, but he is absolutely smashing it. Yes, your new home of combat sports with the likes of Chuck Mindenhall and Ben Folks and Drake Riggs and so many others doing such great things on the MMA side of things. PT Carroll, of course. Let's not forget about PT dusting off the old keyboard, if you will. And then, of course, on the wrestling and boxing side, plenty of coverage on the Fury Usyk press conference that's going down today. And, of course, Catterall Prograis this weekend as well on Saturday. So tremendous stuff, guys. Thank you so much. Great to do this. We will do it more often. I appreciate you both very much.
Thanks,
Thumbs
fellas.
up in the chat. Thumbs up in the chat.
Yeah, there they are. Chuck, Shaheen, the man, the myth. Great to have them on. Great stuff. And yes, a ton going on right now in the world of combat sports. But, we, like I said, I keep saying this when we're bringing back some of our old favorites. I was away for a bit, so I didn't get my usual. Aspinall was the most upset. I will say this. Aspinall was like, why aren't you reaching out for an interview? I was like, Tom, we don't have a show. Then he would reach out a week later, like, what is going on? Are we in a fight? He kept checking in, and that made me feel good. That made me feel like it was, sometimes I feel like I'm bothering the guys, and that made me feel like he felt like it was like a part of the sort of routine of winning a fight. I always bother our next guest. He didn't reach out and say, where's my interview? But I think it's probably just because he's too nice to do so. I will say he never says no, and he always responds within like 10, 15 seconds, which I appreciate more than he can ever imagine. Of course, I'm talking about one of our own, Arnold Allen. He's one of our own. There he is. Hello, Arnold. How are you?
Oh, wow. Yeah, good, man. Yourself?
I got to say, the merch lately has just been on fire. I mean, this one is tremendous. You got the Halloween-inspired merch. This is a job well done, Arnold. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Where can people get the merch, by the way? Let's throw it out there.
Almightymerch.co. We don't have an M. Just .co.
Was it too expensive to get the M?
I think so. Yeah, I didn't make the website, but yeah, I guess so.
And I do believe, and we're showing some photos here. Who's that guy, by the way, in the alien costume?
That is an alien that was opposite my house in the woods.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just across the street.
And he was just wearing your merch?
Yeah, top guy.
Yeah. I do believe it's Average Joe Art who makes your designs, who yesterday we gave props to. He's the special artist guy for 308. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's awesome. That's really cool. It's cool to see him get his props, and he's a good guy, so that's wicked.
He's not so average anymore.
Yeah, exactly. a bit slightly above average
Yes,
go.
yes.
I have to change his
Soon
name.
he's going to be charging you top dollar for those designs, but
Yeah,
hopefully-
actually, I did this one.
Really?
Yeah, so he was having a back and forth, like a friendly back and forth on like what we was gonna do with the alien one, and I drew him what I wanted, and he just sent it back to me a little bit better, and was like, "There you go." I was like, "Yeah, okay."
You drew that?
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I thought because he sent it back, he just sort of freshened it up and made it a little bit better, and yeah, I was like, "That is pretty much what I drew."
Yeah. Well, it's great. Well done to you on that. And well done on the win back in July. Several questions. We haven't talked since. I don't know if you know this, but we were on hiatus. So
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance to bother you, but so much has happened. I do recall afterwards your hand was in a little thingy afterwards and you were afraid that it was broken. Did you, I'm assuming by now you have gotten word whether or not it did in fact break in the fight. What's the status?
Yeah, it was a fracture. I actually drew this with the splint on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a fracture. It just, one of them things. Once you've had a bad break, you kind of tend to deal with it often. But yeah, it's all right. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, so no surgery or anything like that?
No, just time. It's just yeah. I'm hitting things now, so that's all right.
Okay. You did say in the immediate aftermath you were hoping for maybe like January, July, end of the year. Is that still possible or is that too soon?
Yeah, next year, early next year looks like it's gonna happen now. Yeah.
Okay. I saw an interview with Yair. He talked about February, Mexico. He said you were one of the names that was brought up. Is that a real thing?
I mean, I've put it out there a load of times. That is the fight that makes sense to me. That is the fight for both of us. I feel like that would be a shame if that fight never happens, So it'd be cool if that happens. Mexico City, we'll make altitude kind of sucks, but yeah, we'll make it happen.
Is February possible for you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm seeing a doctor tomorrow. I'm getting something going on in the shoulder from something, but yeah, it'll be all right.
How would you feel about fighting in a sort of hostile environment like Mexico City against a proud Mexican?
Yeah, it'd be cool. That'd be really cool. I'd like that. I think British Mexican sort of boxing. There's a lot of history there. So
hell yeah,
yeah, it'd be cool.
What are we doing with the hair these days? It seems a little longer in the back.
Yeah, I'll go for a fun mullet. I don't know if you can see it.
I see it. I like it.
It's coming in.
It's nice. So you're going full on mullet?
Yeah, you know what I do with my hair? I just do it until I get like fed up, and then I just shave it off. And I kind of keep thinking that I need a shtick because people keep telling me I need to like talk more shit. But I don't know. Maybe the mullet will turn me into an arsehole.
No. I think it's a good look. I also like the mustaches that you were experimenting with.
Oh, thank you.
But you got rid of
I
that.
appreciate it. Yeah, I can't really go a good one. I wanted like a Hulk Hogan, but I can't grow it. It doesn't grow here.
Okay. I think a stash, a nice thick stash and a mullet would be tremendous look for you.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. That'd be nice.
It worked wonders for the likes of Uncle Creepy. Remember him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
What a legend.
I don't be known for being creepy though.
Well, it's perception is reality. What's wrong? What are you looking at? You seem bothered.
It's my cat is sniffing things. How's the show going?
Oh, thanks, Arnold. Thanks for asking. Things are going well. Have you checked out any of the new stuff?
Yeah, I've been seeing the content. It's awesome.
Yeah.
My lighting is so bad. This lighting, I feel like I'm in a hospital.
I like the chair, I will say.
Yeah, it's very cool, isn't it?
Yeah. It feels very royal.
Yeah, that was the idea. I wanted like an old sort of British. It had a name, but I can't remember it. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in England this past summer, and I actually took my kids. We went on a tour of Buckingham Palace. Have you ever done it?
Yeah. How do you find it?
Well, so they gave us a little like thingy. You listen to it, like it's like a little guide. My daughter and I, my daughter's 7. We chose the kids version, the family version, I think it was. And there's like a little dog that guides you. My wife and 2 kids thought that was going to be too babyish, so they did the adult. I think my daughter and I had a great time. I think I think going kids route was a lot more fun. I think theirs was too dense. Overall, I wish I saw a little more substance. You know, I kind of feel like we're walking through a museum as opposed to the actual palace, but it was a pretty fun time. What do you think?
I didn't walk around with the guide thing. So my cat is doing stuff.
What's going on?
Wait, let me see if I can turn and see what she's doing.
Okay, let's see.
She's on the desk.
Wow. Is this not common?
Well, she doesn't usually go, Fish, what are you doing?
She's
sniffing things.
She seems to be inspecting.
She doesn't usually hang around with me. It's just that I'm in this room and now she wants to hang around with me because I'm in it.
Distracting you.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Buckingham.
I like in England. I love all the old history, the old castles and stuff like that. But like things like that, Buckingham Palace, it's not
too touristy for you.
Yeah, you know, it's not genuine. It's kind of I like going to old rundown castle and stuff like that. That's nicer.
Fair enough. I had limited time, wanted to show the kids. They had never been there before. I did take them to a few Tesco's. I tweeted you about this. Yes, that was very exciting. We did the tour, but I saw that you're now on the. Is it true that you're on the Poundland train now? You're on that bandwagon?
No.
No?
I went in there the other day and I saw they're still doing £3 meal deals, but people recommended avoiding at all costs. So
okay.
I went with the people. I went with what the people said, and I avoided at all costs.
You asked for some reports.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
I have to say the tweets have just been on fire lately. They've been incredible. Like the tour of the toilets around, I believe, Italy and France, I thought was riveting content, but it seemed like you got some pushback here. You know, you showed us just a wide array. People didn't like this.
Yeah. No, people got a bit weird about it.
What's going on here? That first one, the one we just saw, what was going on there? Why was it so big?
I don't know. It was like you could drive your car in and park in the corner.
It's weird. Where was that?
That one. What was that one? That might have still been in England, that one.
Okay.
I think, I can't remember where that was.
How about this other one where you said it's all business, 5 stars? You like this? You like a good bidet?
Yeah, that was, is it Genoa? Yeah, I think that was Genoa. That was nice.
Did you try the bidet?
Yeah, I did. It was good. It was life-changing, actually.
First time?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
This one seemed like it was in a club, but you then told us it was at a McDonald's.
Yeah, that was weird. You had to like go through like turnstiles to get in. You had to like scan your receipt to go through the turnstiles, and it was really bad. Actually, I was about to piss myself, and that was in. Where did I say that was in? Was that Milan? No, I think that was Florence. And a guy recognized me and was like chatting to me outside the toilet. I was literally gonna piss myself so bad. I was trying hard. I was just like, I'll do a picture. Yeah, so I'm gonna piss myself.
I think we have a couple. Do we have a couple others? I'm just curious. Yeah, this is a fascinating one. It was from a castle. Had a genius toilet. You pump the little thing at the end there to flush.
Yeah. Wait, someone's trying to call me. What the hell? This one, that was in what do you call it? Lake Garda. They have a castle there. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And that was exciting.
You're fascinated by these.
It is interesting when you go to these places. We've traveled across Europe a lot as kids with my family and that, and you always see the things, like what is the one they have? It's just like a hole in the ground, and you just like squat over the hole, you know what I mean?
Those are gross.
Yeah. There's no way to attack that. There's no need for that. Like, who puts that out there? Why did they put that out there?
Sure. One thing that drives me nuts about the UK, well, Europe in general, why do the showers not have doors? It's just like everything gets wet.
What do you mean they don't have doors?
Well, it's like it feels like they don't have a proper, like there's like usually like one glass, but then the rest is open. Why can't we just have 2 pieces of glass to close it up? In the hotel, everything gets wet. The floor gets wet.
Oh, in like hotels, yeah.
Yeah.
My shower's got doors.
Oh, okay. But you know what I'm talking about, right? They always keep it so wide open.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Or everyone just has the curtain, and then the curtain sticks to you when you're in the shower. I don't know why that happens,
That's
but it starts sticking to you. I hate that.
Disgusting, especially if you're in a public shower in a hotel.
You
did bring up a great point about urinals recently. saying that like you could pee without in a urinal, that you're not covered. But then if you go to a stall and you don't close the door, you're considered a weirdo. Why is that? It's a great point. I never thought of that.
Yeah. I walked into the toilet yesterday, actually, on the way home. I was coming back from London. I went into a services toilet, and they only had stalls. And I was like, again, I'm always about to piss myself, like pretty much. That's like my life. I'm always super hydrated. And I also drive a lot, so I have to stop in a lay-by, emergency stop in a lay-by sometimes. So when we get a services is nice. But anyway, I went into this toilet and there was only 2 cubicles and there was no urinal. So I thought it was just it just came into my head. I was like, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And it also looked greasy. I didn't want to touch the door. I didn't want to like, do the lock. It looked like someone had been doing stuff to it.
What's your etiquette, by the way? I don't touch anything.
I go through stages. I go through stages where I'll touch anything, and then other times I won't touch anything.
It's a huge problem with me. I will go like this, elbow, I'll go foot, I'll go toilet paper. I don't want to touch a thing.
I use like if the seat's down and it's been pissed on, I'll use my foot and kick it up a bit, I'll give it one of those.
You did give us a nice POV of what it's like, to be Arnold in a bathroom. I believe when you were in France, you posted this one.
Yeah.
This is premium content right here. You should charge for this. You should do memberships.
I should. It's just all the connotations that come with OnlyFans. I don't want people to think I'm doing like greasy stuff,
Fair. No, that is fair. Again, I love the type of content that you put out. The YouTube page is smashing it, 100K almost, or did you hit 100K?
No, nowhere near. I got like, do you know what though? I came to the conclusion, and I'm not saying any names.
Okay.
I'm not saying any names. But though it's more than that. We've got like 32 something now, I think.
Okay, well done.
People are buying views and followers and stuff on YouTube.
100%. 100%.
Because I'm like,
name names. Go ahead.
No,
Okay.
My show is very organic. Obviously, it's just me. There's no team behind it. It's just me and my missus. That is the team, and the cat, and my dad. But we ain't paying any media stuff to promote our things. I'm not paying for ad sponsors, whatever. Probably doing a lot of things wrong as well. But I see on some people's feeds they got like say 100,000 subscribers, and then like I got a video of 1 million views and like 100 comments on it. I've got a video of like 1,500 views and it's got more comments.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Yeah.
That's the telltale sign, by the way. Something has like 100,000 views and it's got like 2 comments and 4,000 likes. There's just no chance.
Yeah, I was looking because then I saw one and I was like, how has this guy got so popular? Like whatever he's doing isn't great. And then whatever. Then I watched another one, some other guy. I was just no, that doesn't make sense. So, well.
You know who you need backing you? You know who you need to help you out?
Who's that?
You need YouTube guru Ant Evans. Are you familiar with Ant?
No, I'm not.
Ant, former head of UK UFC PR, then turned just head of UFC PR. He's a YouTube guru. He's helping us on our new channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Top bloke from England.
In like a guru, like he's giving you advice.
He's manning the channel. It's his. He's the captain. He's the pilot.
Okay. I think the problem is I'm manning the channel.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I said you might need him in your life. If you'd like for me to introduce, he will talk your ear off. He loves to send voice notes, but other than that, he's a top bloke.
Yeah, that could be cool. Actually, yeah, anything like that, that'd be awesome.
All right. Back to the fight, by the way, against Giga. He did seem to insinuate that you had spies in his camp. Was that him just like being around English people and thinking that you're all the same, or did he actually have any sort of intel on this?
No, definitely no spies. I mean, like, be the worst person. I'd be a waste of money, right? If I ain't gonna buy YouTube followers, I ain't paying for spies to tell me that a kickboxer is a kickboxer.
Right.
So, yeah, no, there definitely was no spies. I think it was literally the case of there being English people in England. He mentioned something like that. He was like, "Oh, I'm in England. There's English people everywhere." I'm just like, yeah, yeah.
You're not all the
But
same.
you know what? Maybe if me and Yair do fight in Mexico City, I'll make some accusations about Mexicans helping him out.
Fair. Afterwards, he talked about his shoulder being hurt, and you tweeted, "This isn't the way." What bothered you about that?
It's just not the fighter's code, is it? You know what I mean? Like, you don't go into battle, and then be like, oh yeah, but I did this and this happened. It's like, come on, man. I'm gonna do it, but we all know I broke my hand in the first round in like on your forehead, and we all go into fights with injuries and compromise with other things, and it's just you don't say it, win or lose, you don't say it.
Hmm. And even more so when you lose, right? I mean, like win, is it a little bit different, or do you think you don't say it at all, win or lose? Like really, it's not your.
Yeah, I mean, if you win, it's like, well,
Yeah.
it's okay, I guess,
Right,
because
right.
you can't make an excuse for winning, right? But it's still sometimes a bit funky.
Without naming names, some fighters got mad at me when I insinuated that other fighters didn't perform at their best because this card happened in the middle of the night. And they felt
Yeah,
like this was a slight. You were there. You had to fight in the middle of the night.
yeah.
Did it affect you at all? Obviously, you won, but it still could be a struggle, and you could still win. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, no, I sucked. So I tried to do everything like to the best I could. I was on like a nocturnal schedule for like a month, and obviously some like life happens in training. Certain training partners can't make training, or coaches have other obligations. So then sometimes you sort of get a lack of sleep, and issues like that happen. Um, but yeah, the sleep schedule, like I feel like I mastered that. I was on like a full nocturnal thing. And then Thursday, I slept and I just could not sleep. Like after Thursday, I'd cut weight, and then I fought Sunday about 3:30 a.m. and I didn't sleep from Thursday night. Thursday, yeah. So yeah, Thursday night where I cut weight, and then it was just it was a shit show. It wasn't great for me.
You didn't seem that happy about it beforehand. Safe to say you're not signing up to do this again.
No, I mean, opportunity comes and it's a
Right.
good one, and if it's worth it, obviously. But yeah, I was taking cold showers before they called my name to come to the bus in the hotel.
Wow.
I was doing like all sorts of stuff. I was pacing. It was quite funny where I couldn't sleep. I should have been in bed, and it was like 9 a.m. It was 9 a.m. Saturday. So it was like the morning of what would have been the fight. And I had my hood up and sunglasses in because I was trying to go to just trying to go for a walk and like not be seen or whatever. And people were coming up to me like, "Right, Arnold, how you doing, mate?" And I was just like, "What the fuck?"
Ah.
I have a hood on, sunny. So I was like, "How can anyone tell it's me?" But yeah,
Did you recently do a triathlon?
yeah. A few weeks ago, yeah, I
First
did.
one?
No, like third one I've done.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Are all triathlons the same distance?
Yeah, you're wrong. They're
Okay, I'm wrong.
very wrong. So they do like sprint distances, which are like the shortest one. The Olympic distance is like, yeah, it's okay. And then they do like Ironmans and half Ironman,
Oh.
which are like crazy.
So the one you just did, what was the breakdown?
It's just an Olympic one,
Oh,
but so it was obviously a triathlon, swim, bike, run. It was supposed to be in a river, but there was been flooding in the area, and like there was like pollution in the water, so they cancelled it. So they did run, bike, run.
okay.
And then I went to swim after anyway, so that yeah, we worked that out.
How did you do?
I came like 100, I think it was 105th out of a few thousand,
Wow.
but I got lost on the course because I was flying, and I think if I didn't get lost, I think I would have came like 30th. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm a bit annoyed at that.
Would that be
Yeah.
your best finish?
Yeah. Well, actually, I won one once in Ottawa, um,
Wow.
but I cheated, so it
Oh,
doesn't really count.
how'd you cheat?
Well, I got lost again. So I've
Uh,
done 3 triathlons and I've got lost 3 times.
are there not a ton of people around you?
Yeah, so for this one, so I was like, they do it in waves. So you go like, the first group that had like an Olympian in it, and mine was sort of like, guys that are trying out, having fun, sort of thing. People who are in shape, but like, they're not elite triathletes. But I was catching up to the guys ahead, and I think they thought I was with the faster group. So then they told me to go with them, and then it turns out
Ah.
I went the wrong way. Yeah.
So you're just doing this for fun?
Yeah, it was for charity.
Oh, well done.
So there was it's a children's hospice. It's local to me, like East Anglian Children's Hospice. They do some like good stuff around here. And yeah, you just raised some funds for them, and yeah, it was like keep me uh, keep me in shape while I was injured, and
Love it.
yeah, good for my head and good to do something good as well.
Of course. Well done. By the way, what is it like? I wouldn't know, but what is it like to support a club at the bottom of the table? What's that like?
I don't. Oh, yeah, no, it's not great. It's not great. I have big hopes. Big
Not bad.
hopes,
Hey,
but it's
they're not in the relegation zone at the moment, right?
no, but it's yeah, just need to get 3 points, and I think they're start being all right. Get a
Yeah.
bit of confidence going.
We used to be in that spot. We, of course, Forest, but we're flying at the minute.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
yeah,
know, eighth place at the moment.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
must
get
be
up there.
nice. No, but I am
Yeah.
rooting for you guys. I hope that you don't get relegated because it's a great story, and for you because I always think
Yeah.
of you when I think of
I keep needing to get to a game, but
you haven't been yet.
so actually I was meant to go to a game, and then I did the triathlon on the day. They were bringing me as like, a guest. All the tickets like sold out as well. But yeah, every time there's something going on.
You're the most famous Ipswich Town supporter that I know, and I think maybe on the planet. They gotta hook you
Yeah,
up.
yeah. There's not really anyone else more
Yeah.
popular.
Well, you got to sort that at least before Christmas. Could I ask part of the reason why I wanted to have you on? And here we are talking 25 minutes. I haven't even brought it up. You know about Max Holloway. You obviously know of Ilya Topuria. Who are
Yeah.
you fancying in this fight? Where are you leaning?
I'm leaning for Ilya. I am leaning for Ilya, but obviously for obvious reasons, I hope Max wins.
Okay, tell me what those obvious reasons are.
Well, if Max wins, it sort of lines up an easier route to a rematch for me. So yeah,
You think you have a better chance of getting a title shot if the guy that you fought before wins as opposed to a guy you've never fought before?
yeah, I think so because then there's more of a story there, right? So
Okay.
I think they like that sort of thing.
But
And
you say you think
yeah,
Ilya wins.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
How?
I do. I don't know. I just imagine him. He's going to wrestle more, and I think he's got more to his toolbox than people have seen. He's not just a knockout puncher. He is a high IQ fighter, good wrestler. I've heard from people very, very good jiu-jitsu, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that.
Hmm. Uh, are you in the camp of like this guy? So he rubbed some people the wrong way, but it sounds like you believe he is the real deal. Like he's not some copycat. He's not some Connor, wannabe. That's what people like to say about him. I'm supremely impressed by him, but he's very cocky and confident, and people like to, knock people down when they are that way. But it sounds like you think he's the real deal.
Yeah, he's legit. The guy's got the champ. He is the champ, and there's always like something. Obviously, like with the Volk fight, like Volk probably shouldn't have even been in there, right?
Right.
But he's done everything asked of him. He showed up and he's got the wins. And you could say anything, like when he fought Bryce was claimed he was sick, and I believe he was. He looked off. I remember looking at him when he was sort of, when they panned to the corner, like
Yeah.
announced his name. I thought, he looked a bit off, but no fault of Ilya's. He turned up and did the job. So there's all those things.
Are you surprised that Max is still here? That he's still on top? That he's still, fighting for belts? I think a lot of people, including myself, I'll be honest, after the third Volk fight, thought that maybe okay, he'll still be around, he'll still have relevant fights, but maybe not be championship caliber. He's been on an incredible run since then. Are you surprised?
Nah, not at all. Like the guy is, yeah. When I fought Max, not to make it all about me, but like, when I fought Max, I was getting so many messages of people saying, "Easy fight, you're gonna knock him out. He's washed up and all this." I was just like, "What are you people talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?" But obviously, I mean, like, it's nice they were backing me, but like, if that's what you think, you're insane. That guy he's not built like that. He's a different breed. So yeah, no, it's no surprise at all.
By the way, that fight I think is your pinned tweet on X, your pinned post,
Yeah, yeah.
and you refer to it as a buttery canvas. It was slippery that night.
Yeah, yeah. It was greasy.
Has it been better since?
Yeah, the grip's been good.
You're not
Yeah.
making excuses, are you?
The No, no, no. I just, you know what? It's one of them ones. You just sort of running with your hands up, trying to trade with the guy, and yeah, you just get put on your knee for a second. It's all good.
If you could do that one again, if you can get it back this weekend, what would you do differently?
Uh, Probably run after him sooner. I think.
Okay.
I think it was one of the things. It was the first 5-round fights, or full 5-round fights I've had against probably. I don't know if this is a fact, but like the most 5-round experience. I feel like that's a stat, right?
Okay.
He's probably had the most 5-round fights. He's notoriously got the cardio. He's a 5-round machine. It's just like in my head a little bit of like, can I keep up? Can I push the pace? And yeah, I never really felt tired. So now knowing what I know, it's like, I know I can push the pace. So yeah.
You know what I love and respect about you, Arnold? You're a truth teller. You're not afraid to tell it like it is. And I saw recently that you exposed the fact that Tesco isn't using real chickens in their chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
This is a
I
huge
don't know what's going on.
controversy.
Yeah, I know. Where's that? Like, not me. Yeah, like, where's it coming from? Where's it coming from?
Has this
I see lots of
changed your
chickens
stance?
around me.
Have you changed your
Yeah.
stance?
Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking like go a bit more like Whole Foods, maybe make my own meal deals and stuff. But there is so many good food. I'm traveling over the next few weeks as well, so that never really
Oh.
it's never great to eat good.
I saw you talking about your cheat meals like leading up to the fight, and they're insane and they're so unhealthy. Like Domino's, you've got
Yeah.
McFlurries. It's like now that you're totally out of camp. What day is cheat meal day?
Saturday. It's
Saturday.
after the last sparring of the week.
Okay, and last sparring is Friday or Saturday morning?
Yeah, if I'm here in the UK, it's Saturday, yeah.
And then okay, so like this past Saturday, what was it?
No, I didn't go crazy Saturday.
Oh.
Because when I'm out of camp, I don't really go wild. So
Oh, so like what's like a crazy one in camp?
I have like burger. I like Five Guys actually. Yeah, Five Guys. Five Guys is always a winner, and I usually get like a double cheeseburger, a hot dog, big fries, obviously, and a shake.
Yeah.
And I'll probably have a chocolate bar on the way home, and then I'll probably stay up and watch a film and order a pizza.
Yeah. And will you eat the whole thing?
Yeah.
Large, medium? What size we talking?
Medium.
Medium and what kind of toppings?
Chicken. Yeah, I'm off the
Chicken?
pork. I'm still off the pork, so I just get like a There's a barbecue chicken feast they do. It's pretty good.
Really? Barbecue chicken on the pizza?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's decent.
Anything else?
Like the garlic bread, like a small garlic
course.
pizza bread. Yeah.
When's the
Yeah.
McFlurry come into play?
Yeah. I don't really. The McFlurries here ain't as good, to be honest.
Okay.
You know what they do? My missus pointed this out, and I never really realized it was a problem. But they fill it with the cream, the ice cream,
Yeah.
and they just sprinkle the whatever it is you have on top. You know,
Yeah.
M&Ms, they just sprinkle it on top. You know, you guys over that side in North America, it's all mixed in something. You know, usually anyway.
Yeah. No, it doesn't
So-
feel like after you get, rid of the top quarter that there's nothing left. It feels a lot
Yeah,
more.
it's not worth eating.
Sure. You see Trump at McDonald's recently.
Yeah. No, I also see everyone's got E. coli at McDonald's.
Oh, geez.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Well, I have to say, I had a great time over in England. The culture, I took my kids to Nando's. I exposed them to that. They loved it. They especially
How'd they
loved
like it?
the halloumi fries were a big hit.
How did they enjoy the flag in their food? Because you were not
Yeah,
a fan of that.
I warned them, so they were prepared. Naturally, they thought it was pretty cool.
It is cool. How hot did you go?
So the great question, lemon and herb for my daughter, she thought it was too spicy. Could you believe it? I almost disowned her. I almost disowned her on the spot. The
Yeah.
boys went medium, whatever that is.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they adored it. They loved it. They want to go. They keep asking me if we could go back to England. They loved everything: the football, the culture,
Yeah.
the accents,
That's awesome.
the Central Sea.
cool.
They're into all this stuff.
Central Sea.
Yes.
Don't with Central Sea.
I'm sorry.
Don't with Central.
You're not a
No,
fan?
wait, what? No, I'm not a fan.
Oh.
So my missus, she was following him on Instagram. She says what the hell? She says she's a fan, And I see her liking all these pictures. I was just scrolling through, looking at things. I'm like, hang on a minute. Like, what's going
It's a
on
lot of
here?
likes.
And she's like, I'm just a fan of his music. I was like, I'm a fan of a lot of people's music, but I ain't liking all their pictures on Instagram. Like, yeah,
Suspect.
so yeah, not liking that. Might have some beef with Central C. So,
All right,
yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough. You wouldn't be the first one to have a beef with Central C, so you can sort that out.
Yeah.
It's always a delight. It's always a delight to have you on, Arnold. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it. Congrats on the win back in July, and heal
you,
up
man.
soon, and hopefully we'll see you back in there in early 2025.
Thanks, so. I'll be out in Canada soon, actually.
Oh.
And I'm going to Edmonton for the card next week if you're out there.
Okay. I actually live in New York these days. I haven't lived in Canada for about 20 years.
No, I know that. I know
Okay.
you don't live in
Oh,
Edmonton.
sure. It's also called Edmonton.
Edmonton?
Yes. And that's also
Nice.
like very far from Montreal, my hometown.
I know.
I'm just saying.
Is there anything good there?
Yes, the mall is their claim to fame. They have the largest mall, third largest now in North America behind New Jersey, Minnesota, but the Edmonton Mall is fantastic. They've got a pool in there, like a whole big beach thingy.
Wait, there's a pool in the mall.
Oh yeah. It's like a surf thing.
Not like Paul Mall?
No, Paul Blart, no, not Paul Blart Mall Cop. It's like a wave thing. Like it's a proper beach in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Go check it
Sounds
out.
cool.
And the arena, by the way, Rogers Arena, I think it is, or Rogers Place, the nicest arena that I've been to in North America.
Oh, really?
No joke.
Is that who plays there?
Edmonton Oilers. Go check out a game if you can. Why are you going there, by the way?
For the UFC.
Oh, you're just going as a guest fighter?
Yeah.
Wow, from UK?
Yeah.
All right, well done.
Yeah, I
Well
got
done.
offered, and I'm like, of course. Like,
I love that.
My guy Eamon Zahavi's on the card. So,
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes total
yeah.
sense. Yeah, I love that.
I was thinking, I was like, that's a long trip, but then I was like, no, I'd love to be there. So
That's wonderful. Well, enjoy. It's your second home, of course, Canada, and great to talk to you. Great to have you on as always.
thank you, I appreciate it.
You're the man. There he is, the almighty one, Arnold Allen. Go check out the merch. Tremendous stuff. And he's just always such a pleasure. I love having him on. Now, as you know, all week we have been talking about Rico Verhoeven. Rico Verhoeven has been on our minds. He has been someone that has been brought up on this program several times because of Francis Ngannou's win. And I was just racking my brain. I was just, trying to think, okay, what's big enough for Francis next? What would be a good challenge? What would be a spectacle? And right before we had him on, I thought Rico Verhoeven, perhaps, the kickboxing king against the MMA king in a boxing match or in a home and away, something like that. By the way, in case you're wondering, I don't throw around king lightly. 26-1 in glory, most wins in glory history, undefeated in glory since 2012 on a 25 fights. I repeat, 25 fight win streak is Rico Verhoeven, the longest winning streak, by the way, in glory history. 11 title defenses. That's most in glory history. And he returns to action back home in the Netherlands on December 7th. Let's say hello to the king of kickboxing, Mr. Rico Verhoeven. There he is. Hello, Rico. How are you?
Sir, I'm good, Ariel. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's
What
great.
an introduction. Thank
Of course.
you so much.
And it's well earned. It's well deserved. So like I said, we've been talking about you. We talked about you on Monday. We talked about you on Tuesday with Eric Nixick and Dan Hardy, and now wanted to get your thoughts on all of this. As you know, Francis on the show on Monday is coming off the big win, and I just thought, what could be big enough? What could be a spectacle? What could be an interesting challenge now that Francis is doing all this stuff? And you came to mind, and I saw Glory has posted about it, and Marshall Zelaznik hit us up about it. And so could I just ask, now that all this has kind of been out there as a thing, and I will admit, I'm just throwing it out there. I've created it, but I feel like it's become a thing. What are your thoughts on this idea?
Yeah, I love the idea. Actually, I've been thinking about a crossover or whatever for quite some time now. So I love the idea. I love the idea because it's a new challenge. Not that like I'm done with challenges within Glory, but like you said, I got an amazing win streak and title defense streak. And earlier this year, we won an amazing tournament. But yeah, like I'm open to challenges. So, and I think like when we're talking about the baddest on the planet, let's find out who it is.
Yeah, because for some reason, Rico, and I'd love to get your thoughts as to why, when we talk about baddest, it usually is boxing and MMA. Why does it seem like sometimes, and maybe it's a North American thing, why does it seem like you get excluded? I don't think you should be excluded. Look at the resume. Look at what you've done in the past 10 plus years. Why are you not in that discussion?
I think because the sport of kickboxing is not as big in North America. So I think that's the main reason, because everything that's big over there, like UFC, like boxing, that's like most relevant. So that's what you talk about. But yeah, definitely kickboxing is part of the discussion, a part of the conversation. So yeah, you made it part of the conversation. So let's talk about it. I'm excited.
Okay, so like I said, I did ask Francis about this. I kind of put him on the spot in case anyone out there, including yourself, didn't hear his response to me throwing you out as a potential next opponent. I just want to play the clip and then we'll get your reaction, all right?
Yeah.
Here we go. By the way, I also I'm trying on your behalf. I'm trying to think, okay, who's out there that could be big, interesting challenge? I threw out Rico Verhoeven, who's the kickboxing champion. Wouldn't that be something like Rico versus Francis, kickboxing versus MMA in boxing? And I hear that Glory's interested in this. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, of course.
That'd be something, right?
I mean, I have trained with him.
Oh, okay. So you're friends? So no chance?
No friend. I mean, we met once at the gym. I think we are friends, but not to the extent that we cannot fight each other. We're a gym friend.
Okay. Can I work on this? Do you want me to work on it, or should I leave it alone? What do you think?
Send me a deal.
All right. Okay. So you see, Francis is into it.
Yeah, send me the deal.
All right. I'm going to work on it. I'm working on it. What about that training session? What do you remember from that?
What I remember from that, I was in the US, and we got approached by his team already earlier for preparation, but for some kind of reason we couldn't make it happen. And now I was in the US anyway, so we flew over to Vegas, and yeah, we had a nice training session. So we moved around. He was preparing for a fight, but he also just had an operation. I just came back from the eye injury, so we didn't spar, but like we just threw around some punches. I gave him some kickboxing notes, and that's it. We had fun.
Big
and of
guy,
course,
right?
Aaron, he's an amazing guy, and Eric is an amazing guy as well. So yeah, we clicked.
So since this kind of started to become a thing on Monday, has Glory talked to you about it? I understand they're very interested. Is there anything being discussed behind the scenes? Any sort of, discussion, plan, chatter, anything like that?
No, to be honest, I tried to keep everything away because you threw it out, and like the phone was buzzing. Everybody was going crazy. Everybody wanted my response, and I said, like, okay, if I talk to somebody, I'm gonna talk to Ariel first. So he was the one, taking the initiative. So let's do that. And for the rest, what the crossover talks have been about, it's been going on for quite some time. And for example, what's going on in Saudi is awesome. And I truly believe that they really put martial arts back on the map in a different way. And you put different combat sports and different stand-up combat fighters against each other, you get an amazing scene, and that's what they're doing. So either if it's Prince Turkey that's putting up amazing boxing fights and UFC events, or that they're doing PFL or whatever, I love it. And yeah, shout out to them and a lot of respect.
So far in Saudi, they've obviously done the boxing, they've done MMA, they've done UFC and PFL. They do a lot of pro wrestling, WWE. To the best of my knowledge, no kickboxing, no Glory.
No, not yet.
Any of that that you're aware of? Why not? Why isn't kickboxing being featured?
Exactly. I think it should be part of the conversation, and I think it's the most exciting part as well, because eventually that's what we want to see. And I think the sport of kickboxing has brought up a lot of great fighters, even within UFC. We have some, for example, Alex Pereira, who's been dominating the UFC like crazy, who came from Glory as a champion. So, yeah, why not?
By the way, are you surprised by the success that he's having?
Definitely not.
You're not? Okay. Why not?
No. Because he's been an amazing fighter within Glory. Now he transitioned to the UFC, and just his style, his power is, as you can see, impeccable. I love it. I'm amazingly proud of him. I support him from a distance. So we follow each other on Instagram. So we stay in touch. So say whenever you're over in the Netherlands, let me know, and let's do a workout.
You don't need anything more. You're a gigantic star. You're doing very well and whatnot. I'm just wondering if there's any part of you that sees the success that he's having over there and thinks, would this be good for me? Would this be good for my global, notoriety, my global popularity? Is there any part of you that thinks about yourself when you see what's been happening to him?
No, because years ago I've made the executive decision to not do it. I've been with Glory, and for me, the reason to not transition into MMA was, just be honest with yourself. I think that's most important always. And looking at it, it's like, why would I transition into MMA? Okay, it might be a new challenge, but do I want to be the very best MMA fighter, or do I just want to, for example, build my name globally because the UFC organization is bigger? Yeah. And I think the heavier weight was on that, on building the brand, maybe the brand Rico bigger and the name worldwide. And I don't think that's the right reason to transition to a totally different sport if you don't want to become the very best at it. So that's why I made the decision not to, and stay with Glory and dominate the sport, and raise the bar as high as possible for the next generation.
Okay, so with that in mind, in this fictitious world where it's potentially you versus Francis, which scenario do you like best? Because there's several, right? Francis, not a kickboxer. I suggested, you guys meet neutral territory in a boxing match, or maybe it's one kickboxing, one MMA. What are you thinking? As you've thought about this the last couple of days, what do you think is the most feasible?
Oh, but like you said, there's so many different flavors. So there could be a home and away fight, a kickboxing and an MMA fight, which most likely end up maybe in a 1-1. But a boxing match, that's interesting because that's a way for both of us.
Yeah.
Even though he's been doing 2 boxing fights in the last year, but still it's different. And I've been boxing for quite some years as well, not on a professional level, not in the ring, but I've been training with Peter Fury for years and years, and he says like, you ready for it? So let any top level boxer challenge you, and let's show what we got.
I love this. I love this so much. So to be clear, you would be interested in that, a neutral sport. You meet him in a boxing ring in a boxing match.
100%. But like I said, I'm open to whatever the talks are about. Let's just see what we can do. And I think this is definitely a different kind of crossover. Even though, for example, we would do a kickboxing fight. How crazy would that be? Because Francis is an amazing stand-up fighter as well, and there is no more, I think, challenging, more exciting stand-up combat sport than kickboxing is. So we could do it because he's an amazing kickboxer as well. So, and it's a different kind of crossover. So like I said, I'm open to the different kind of flavors. So let's see what the discussions are about.
And would you be open to MMA?
Why not? Let's see.
I love it. You do have a history in MMA, right? A couple fights?
I definitely do. I did one professional MMA fight. I did some grappling matches here in the Netherlands. So if I gotta be honest, it's been a while. I'll probably be a little bit rusty, but why not? It's like I said, it's like the crossover fights has been on my mind for quite some time. So, but it just has to make sense. And I think this makes sense.
What did you think of his? Obviously, the 2 boxing matches were completely different. One he looked incredible in, the other one he got knocked out. But overall, from what you saw of him as a boxer, what did you make of it? And also, by the way, like the first fight against Fury, did you chalk that more up to what he did, or maybe how Fury looked, or how maybe not so serious he took the task?
Yeah, I think that was more the case. But even though he put out a great performance, because everybody thought like, oh, Tyson's gonna wipe the floor with him, and like he said, take him to school. And yeah, that was definitely not a walk in the park. So I loved how he kept himself standing against maybe one of the greatest boxers of all time. And yeah, after that, he had another fight with Anthony Joshua. It was a little bit different, but maybe he had some stuff going on. I don't know. But next to that, he put himself out there. And the only thing you can say is you respect that. I love it. I love that he just takes the challenge to the highest level and just commits himself to that.
Did you watch?
There is no failure. There is no failure. There's only learning.
Did you watch his fight on Saturday?
No, but I have to be honest. I saw the highlights. I saw the highlights and the end of it. So amazing fight, and like I said, a lot of respect to Francis and the journey that life has gave him. That's amazing and incredibly challenging. So, like I said, I totally respect him for that and how he's coping with everything.
By the way, so I know that you said that you were open to crossover fights and things like that, and you've been kind of itching for something different. Has anything ever been presented to you? Was there ever anything on the table, something in the works that was a quote unquote crossover fight?
Yeah, we've been now and then. Things came by or people question about it, but like now, like last year I was injured, then I came back into glory defending my title. Then straight after that we went into the tournament, the Grand Prix. We took that home, and after that I was just good to have a little bit of vacation. So now defending my title again on the 7th of December. So after that, we're free, we're open. So let's see what crossover fight is coming on the path.
You're returning to the, I'm going to butcher this, Gelderdome?
Yeah, in Dutch we would say Gelderdome.
Gelderdome.
You can say Gelderdome.
Okay, so it's
like
the G is a
Yeah, it's really hard in the Netherlands, yeah.
Okay.
Gelderdome.
In Arnhem?
Yeah.
Okay. Against Levi Richters, who you actually competed against and beat in the final of the tournament, right? So this is a rematch.
Sir.
He calls himself the Prince. You're the king of kickboxing. Does it annoy you that he calls himself the Prince?
I called him the Prince.
Okay.
He's actually his nickname was the Judge, or is the Judge. But I see potential in him. So in a funny interview, they asked like, okay, what type of nicknames or what things come up to you when you hear certain names? So then they said his name, and I said, oh, he's the Prince. He's the king to beat when I'm retired.
Oh, so that's not you trying to big brother him and say that he's beneath me by calling him the Prince?
Definitely not. Definitely,
okay.
But it depends, Ariel. It's you have people that see a glass half full or half empty. So they can see it as that, or they can see it as half full. I mean it as half full, but if some people take it as half empty, it's not my problem.
That is, I totally get that, and I understand the explanation. I always feel, we were talking about this weekend, there was a fight for the Bellator middleweight title between the champion Johnny Eblen and Fabian Edwards, and Johnny beat Fabian to retain his title last year, and then he had to fight him again this Saturday, and I always feel like it's tougher on the champion who has to beat a challenger twice, as opposed to a challenger who climbed the mountain, fell down, and now gets another shot at the king, as opposed to the king just trying to do something more spectacular this time, or beat him quicker, or something like that. It's a different, harder type of challenge. How do you feel about the fact that you just beat Levi and now have to beat him again with him getting 2 cracks at you?
Well, the other time we fought each other was in the tournament. It was a totally different circumstance. So we both had 2 fights previous on the same night, previous to the fight we had. So now we're going into this one both fresh, focused. So I think this is the more fair shot to him as well.
And important to note, he has won twice, I do believe, since that fight. So he has tried to earn the opportunity again. He did, in all fairness, land what appeared to be a pretty gnarly spinning back fist in that fight against you. Have you been preparing for that? You think he's going to try to break it out again?
100%. That's what he does. He comes out with like the craziness, the jumping knees and the spinning back fists and the scissor kicks and stuff like that. And I was totally controlling that fight. Gave him 1 or 2 knockdowns, I believe 2 knockdowns in the first round. And I think I just became too comfortable. And I think it's in my opinion, it's a good lesson. And it's, for me, those fights are a representation of life. So maybe sometimes life is just flowing a little bit too well and everything's just going a little bit too good, and then you just get knocked down. You get surprised. And that's like moments you get too comfortable. So it's a good lesson. I stood up. I had to recover from that. We did. And still we took the job home. So I'm happy with it. And it was a good lesson.
We saw you rocking the very special Christian Dior fight gear. Do you have something like that planned for December 7th, or a different designer that is unique?
No, not yet. In this fight, I don't have something planned, but maybe for the crossover fight we can do something crazy. But definitely, this was a unique collaboration between me and Christian Dior. So we had Mr. Kim Jones himself design it. So that was insane. Excited. It's just so cool to keep doing stuff that hasn't been done before. Like, for example, like now we do a crossover fight, the first kickboxer to ever do it, to ever be champion for this long and unbeaten, stuff like that. It's just like, I love to do it. It's not that I tap myself on the shoulder like, oh, you're doing amazing. No, just like I've been enjoying what I can and focus on the next challenge ahead.
I saw you were also honored by having your own wax figure at Madame Tussauds. What was that like to see that?
That was insane, Ariel. To be honest, that was I don't know, man. It's how do you explain it? I could never imagine something like that happening. And the funny fact is also that it is one of the few wax figures that actually moves within Madame Tussauds. So you can walk up to me and you can do a live like stare down, and then the wax figure just it has some type of like technology within it, and the eyes just meet your eyes, so you can do a few seconds stare down. It's crazy. It's crazy. When you visit Amsterdam, you should go.
I would
there.
love to. I saw it.
Yeah.
It looks incredible. Like it has to be trippy, right? To see yourself and to just know that you're immortalized like that. That has to be incredible.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I was like looking into the eyes, like really close, because I did a stare down with it myself, and just like looking for the robotic or something that you see like, this is not real, but I couldn't see it. I could not see it. It was just like looking in the mirror.
Incredible. By the way, most importantly and most exciting, congratulations to you and your fiance. I believe you got engaged over the summer, right? And what a beautiful scene that was on a beach with roses. And where was that? Where was this whole thing that you planned? Looked fantastic.
Maldives.
The Maldives.
Yeah,
wow.
Maldives. Yeah. Wow.
Well done.
It was amazing. And thank you so much. It was also going there and never being there before, and just knowing the Maldives from the pictures and from the movies, and it was just, this is the place. If I would do it anywhere, this is the place I would do it. And everything just coming out like a freaking movie scene.
Yeah.
With the sun going down, and like you said, the roses on the beach and the table, and wow, I couldn't have planned it better, and everything just fell right into place. So really thankful for that.
Did she know it was coming, or was she completely surprised? No idea.
No. So that's the funny thing, Ariel. Everybody was like, "Oh, but she's wearing the white dress."
Yeah.
Well, actually, right before, she wanted to wear like a pink dress or something, but it was like brand new, so she took it out of plastic or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, I want to wear this," and it was like, she's like, "No, it doesn't look nice. You see that? I just took it out the suitcase." So I said, "You know what? Wear the white one. That would look pretty." So she put on the white one, and she's like, "Yeah, can you zip me up?" So I was trying to zip it up, but the zipper wasn't working. I was like, "It's not working. It's not working." And then finally, I closed it. I said, keep it on, and don't move anymore." All right, perfect. So I went out with the shorts and a shirt because they had my suit there already, dry steam, everything. So I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go out. I'll come pick you up in a little bit." Or because I was doing a little like a little seminar of kickboxing there. So I said, "The general manager wants to talk to me. So I either send a car for you like in 15 minutes or pick you up myself. Depends on how long it takes." Yeah, perfect. So I go out, change real quick into my suit, but it was hot. I was sweating like crazy. So I said, go pick her up, or else I'll be soaking wet before she gets here." And then, yeah, she came out and she didn't even she didn't even see me like that I changed. She was like totally like flabbergasted. She's like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And then, yeah, everything just came together. So it was amazing. Amazing day.
Well done. I'll give you offline. I'll give you my address for the save the date for the invitation if you need me there.
100%.
I'd be happy.
100%.
You know, if you need a celebrity, I'm sure you don't have many celebrity friends.
Exactly. We need you. We need you there.
No problem. Last thing for you, Rico, and great to talk to you as always. For Francis, if he's watching, or his team, or maybe even the PFL, what would you like to say to them?
What I would like to say to them is just like, hey, I think when we're talking about baddest on the planet and we're talking about crossover fights, this thing must happen. This must happen. It has to happen because we've been doing and we've been seeing throughout the last few years the most crazy fights, and I think this is one of them that needs to be added to the list. So let's make it happen.
I'm in. I love it. I'm going to keep banging that drum. I think it would be fascinating.
Good.
I think it would be amazing to watch. For now, though, December 7th next up for you, back home in the Netherlands. Good luck to you, my friend. Can't wait for it, and always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Ariel. See you next time.
All right, there he is, the king of kickboxing, Rico Verhoeven, a gent of a man, and it would be quite the scene. He is a large individual as well. I do believe he is, in terms of height, 6'5". Francis, I do believe, wait for it, 6'4". Ooh, yeah, know yourself, it would be fascinating. Listen, we're just trying to make things happen here.
Are you prepared to go to the Netherlands for the wedding?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Why you ask?
He's such a good guy. I feel like he's going to
He's going to invite me?
And then you're not going to go.
By the way.
You're going to get to save the date.
Who, me? Are you implying that I like to guilt people into not inviting me to things, but then if they actually invite me...
I feel like you just always kind of throw the, send me the save the date joke out there, and then he's going to be the one that actually does it, and you're not...
That's my thing. That's my thing. In fact, on the team right now, there are two people that got married while I knew them. I went to one wedding. I didn't go to the other. But I have a good excuse. I didn't go to On Air Jordan's wedding.
Yeah, he's holding his hands up right now.
Yeah.
He still seems pretty pissed about that.
No.
What did you do with the koozie that he gave you?
What's a koozie?
He gave us all koozies.
What is a koozie?
It's like a holder for.
No, I like
cans.
this mystery. I like him not knowing.
Yes, 100%. I didn't get it, so apparently there's still some hard feelings. But I did go to Eric's wedding. I did go to.
Shows the hierarchy of importance.
Well, Eric, I was younger. If he got married now, I would definitely not go.
For sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Great stuff there from Rico. Appreciate him very much. We move along now and we say hello to a man who will also be competing this Saturday. It's not just about UFC 308, which of course goes down in Abu Dhabi. Massive fight, very important fight. A fight that's going down at the Co-op Live Arena, the brand new arena, which was home to UFC 304 back in July. That brand new arena in Manchester. It's England's own Jack Catterall going up against Regis Prograis, Rougarou, returning to action for the first time this year in a junior welterweight bout. You can see it on DAZN. No titles on the line, but massive stakes and implications as well. Let us go to England right now and say hello to Regis Prograis back on the program. Hello, Regis. How are you?
I'm good, brother. What's going on?
All is well. Thank you for doing this. I know it's been a very busy week. By the way, how do you feel being back in England? I know you had that experience against Josh Taylor. You're on enemy territory once again, a little bit different than being in the Bay against Devin. Here you are in the UK against one of their own. How does it feel? What's the reception like?
Honestly, man, these people out here are so nice. Like, the thing is, all the people out here, they really, really nice. We just did a face off at the Co-op Live just now, and it was no Kel. It was we just did that, and it was no hostility, no harsh stuff or nothing like that. Everybody's super cool out here. I don't feel like it's no type of like I'm an outsider. Like, really, I really don't. Everybody is just so nice here.
Is it possible that it was more hostile in the Bay than it is in the UK for you?
Probably so. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, the Bay didn't get hostile until the weigh-in. The ceremonial weigh-in. That's when the Bay got hostile. At first, yeah, it was cool. It was nothing. But it was it's definitely a little different. We'll see when the ceremonial weigh-in happens. We'll see how that feels. But right now, yeah, it's everybody's super cool here.
Any concerns? This comes up a lot. Even Bob Arum was talking about it when Taylor fought Catterall for the second time a few months ago. The judges and whatnot. In that case, it's UK versus UK, but it's Scotland versus England. As an American going over to the UK, do you feel like you will get a fair shake if this goes the distance?
I do. Honestly, I really do. I feel like because it's gonna be a microscope under him because his last fight was so controversial, and so I think that it will kind of be a microscope under him to I don't think that judges would, I don't think they'll play nothing like that. I really just don't feel it. And I mean, for me, I just feel like I'm gonna dominate, and if I do everything I was doing in the gym in sparring, it shouldn't be close. So it shouldn't be a tick for tack fight. I understand some rounds. It might look like close, but I mean, for me, I don't plan on making it close at all. So, yeah, I feel like I'll be all right.
You said it was controversial, the rematch. Did you score it for Taylor?
Honestly, bro, I don't. When I watch fights, I just watch them to watch them. I don't really, after a round, I don't say, oh, he won that round or this round. But it was just, let's just say it's a controversial fight, and I just felt like they owed Jack. Because the first fight, I think that Jack won that fight, but the second fight was way closer, and it's like they kind of owed him. They kind of owed it to him. So I mean, maybe that's why, he got that.
What did you think? Okay, if you didn't score, what did you think of him overall in the fight? It was a huge one for him to try to right the wrong of the first fight, which everyone thinks he won. What did you think of how Jack fought against Taylor?
I mean, I think he fought the same fight, but I think Taylor just brought it more. I think the first time it looked like Taylor didn't, he could have stepped on the gas a little more. And, but the second fight, Taylor just brought a little more, but the second fight, Jack kind of, I mean, for the most part, he kind of did the same thing.
I've heard your team say at the press conference and whatnot, you don't consider Jack to be world class. I've heard your trainer say that. Do you agree with this? That he is not a world-class fighter, that he is not at world-class level?
Yes, I do agree with this. Yes, and for me, that's why, I understand if it was, every fight is a good fight, every fight is a dangerous fight, but I do understand. Yeah, I just don't think that he's on my level. I became if we have similar people on the resume, we have two people on the resume, he fought Josh Taylor twice, I only fought him once, and we fought Tyrone McKenna. But besides that, I mean, it's nothing else on his resume. If you go down his resume, like you look at mine and look at his, it's nothing. It's really not. So I just don't feel like he's a world-class fighter. He's not on my level, and that's what I just want to go out there and prove that I'm. It's levels to this game, and I'm gonna show it.
So with that said, when you were offered this fight, were you into it?
I took it immediately.
Wow. Even though he's on your level, why?
I took this fight because this is he's highly rated, because Jack is highly rated, and this is one of the biggest fights that they can make outside the belts. They have the belts, they have a few belts at 140, but this is the biggest. I couldn't get none of the belts. The thing is, I thought I was gonna fight Matias, and then he lost. And so this is the, the biggest fight we can make for the belts and stuff like that. And another thing that's, I know, of course, is in my mind. I know that's in his mind, is that he didn't want to take this fight. He didn't. They offered me this fight. I remember the first time they offered me this fight. I remember I was in Japan, and they said, "Yeah, you could fight Jack Catterall." I was all for it. Let's do it. I even made a video saying, "Yeah, we could do it." This was months ago. Then after I didn't hear nothing back from him for a long time. Then I think I saw articles said he didn't want to fight me. He wanted to fight Teofimo Lopez over me. Obviously, he didn't get that. And so then I thought we was moving on. And then I was gonna go the Matias route. That's the route I think everybody wanted to see. They wanted to see me and Matias. And then he lost. He lost to Leon Paro. And so I thought I was gonna fight Leon Paro. And they told me that's not gonna happen. And they brought the Jack Catterall name back up, and I said, absolutely fine, let's do it. And that's a fight. If people don't know the history, me and him were supposed to fight years ago because we was with different promoters like 2 or 3 years ago, but the fight just never happened. So now, yeah, it's a good time.
Why do you think he didn't want to fight you? Why did you feel
because
that way?
it's too much danger. I mean, this is, it's a very, no matter what he can say about my last two performances, but it's still, he knows it's still a hard fight, and he knows that I'm on a different level. That's the thing, like I said, if we both take Josh Taylor off our resume, I'm still a 2-time world champion. I'm still a WBC Diamond champion. I'm still an interim champion. I'm still a WBC, the big belt champion, and I'm still a WBA champion. If you take Josh Taylor off my resume, if you take Josh Taylor off his resume, it's literally, I'm telling you, it's nothing. It's nothing on there, So, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
You guys were supposed to fight in late August. When you heard the news that it was being postponed to this weekend, October 26th, any part of you think, oh, it's because he doesn't want to fight me, they're delaying, they're not ready? Like, did you believe that he was hurt?
No, I didn't believe he was hurt, and I definitely feel like he didn't want to fight. And like I said, I knew he didn't want to fight from the beginning. That's the thing. I already knew he didn't want to take that fight at all. They kind of, and I know that Matchroom forced his hand. They made him take the fight. They told me about the fight. They didn't make me take the fight. I said, yeah. I'd said it, twice already. And so they didn't make me take a fight. But they made him take the fight because, he was coming off the Josh Taylor thing. When you coming off something like that, you definitely want to go right into a championship fight. But they made him fight me, and I know he didn't want to take this fight.
This is your third fight with Matchroom. How has it been so far?
We got a love and hate relationship, basically. Yeah, love and hate relationship.
What's it right now? Love or hate?
It's love. I mean, I love it right now. I mean, I feel like I'm in a very, very good position, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. At first, I thought like, man, they trying to mess over me, trying to make me go to Manchester, trying to make me fight him in his hometown. But I actually like this better. I really do like this better. Just being out in something I want to do even after this is like, I want to take my talents on the road. I want a world champion fights all over the world. We don't have to just fight in our hometown. So, I'm liking everything about it. It's so many less distractions out here. I'm not even like, I'm just sitting in my room as you can see, I'm sitting in my room all day. I'm calm. I feel super relaxed, and I feel very confident, But, my last 2 camps, I had a lot of distractions. Obviously, for the Devin Haney fight, it was crazy distraction. I had so much going on in my, just around me. It was like a big party. And, of course, in New Orleans, it was like a big party. But here, listen, we weigh in Manchester, so there's only a few people that can come, and I don't have no distractions around me, and I feel actually, like, really good about it.
I'm wondering, when you talk about, like, a lot going on with Haney, some have said in the aftermath that there were too many cooks in the kitchen as far as the corner is concerned, that you had like 2 head coaches. Do you acknowledge that, and have you rectified that?
Of course, I acknowledge it and I rectified it. Listen, Bobby Benton got me the 2 world titles, and I just, something I did wrong is like I put my head coach in the assistant coach, and I put my assistant coach in the head coach position, and that's something I should have never did. And when I did that, I understand. The thing is, Bobby is a very soft-spoken person. So Bobby just say, okay, cool, but he showed it. He showed in the camp, and the whole camp was just like, you can just tell something was off. With me and my whole team, it was just like you could tell something was off, and he didn't really say nothing about it. Bobby just like, all right, whatever. He didn't, like I said, he didn't open his mouth about it. But, I put Bobby back in, the head position place, and he makes me feel like super comfortable, super calm, and I don't know why. It's something I did. I mean, it's something I did that I should have probably never did at the time. But listen, you have to live from your you have to learn from your lessons, and that's what I did.
When you look back on that fight in December, obviously you just talked about something that probably didn't help you, but overall, what went wrong as far as the performance against Haney?
Oh man, the performance. I mean, I just wasn't there. Honestly, I just really wasn't in my headspace. It wasn't there. Like I said, and I had a lot of stuff going. We don't have enough time to tell you everything that went on in camp, but it was like everything I did to get to the top, I undid it. And sometimes we do this. I don't know why. That's what fighters do a lot of times. They get to the top of the sport, but then they get a big fight. Like the Haney fight was like a real big fight, and then you kind of just change everything up. And that's kind of what I did. I changed everything up. Usually I do a 6 to 8 week camp. I did like a 4-month camp. I changed up my trainers. I had way more people around me. So it was just, like I said, I literally changed everything I did to get there. I changed it all up.
Wow. And do you feel like things have been rectified in general for this? Like, do you feel like you're back on that same path, the old path?
I do feel. Obviously, we have to fight Saturday, but I mean, as far as camp goes, man, I've been just so calm and so at peace and living like that's the main thing. Listen, all of us, every fighter, they go in the gym and they train hard. When you're in camp, every fighter trains hard. But the thing that separates us is how you live your life outside the camp, outside the gym. And I'm not, in handicap, I wasn't living like a fighter. I trained every day. I trained hard, but when I was out the gym, I didn't live like a fighter. For this camp, I lived like a fighter the whole time. I did a 8-week camp, and I lived like a fighter the whole time. I wasn't in the streets. I wasn't going through all kinds of stuff. And every single day, I had a very, very tight and restricted schedule. And I know that's what's gonna be the difference on Saturday night.
When you say not living like a fighter, do you mean like eating bad food or even like drinking, partying, things like that? Like totally?
No, I don't. So for me, no, I don't drink, smoke, or do drugs. I don't do any of those things. And for the most part, I eat clean and stuff. But I'm talking about just not, I guess, just like going out on the weekends and doing stuff and having a lot of people around you. So in the Haney camp, I had that. I had a whole bunch of people around me. Like I said, it was like a party, man. Like it was like, so I told you I had a 4-month camp, and at first I started in Houston. Then after that, I went to LA, and then I went back to Houston. I went back to LA and just stayed out there. So when I came back to Houston, it was just like I had a bunch of people. I have a big old house, like 10-bedroom house or something like that. So I had people, and it was like a party. That's the main thing I said. It was like a party, and then we went back to LA, and the same thing. I went back to LA that time, and we had a big Airbnb, like a 2-house Airbnb in LA, and it was just like a big party. Like I said, outside of the gym. I still train every day. I still train hard, but I didn't live like a fighter like I was supposed to.
What was the aftermath like? Like, how did you deal with the performance, with the loss, considering it was such a big fight and so much was said leading up to the fight?
At first, really, when I lost fight, I didn't take it like that. I just was like, whatever. I think it hits me differently. Like right when it first happened, I was like, all right, whatever, it's over. Because I really wanted the fight to be over. Even when I was in the fight, I was just like, man, I just want this fight to be over. I remember in like the 6 or 7 rounds, I was like, bro, please get this fight over with. It was just like, I just wasn't there. So I was like, man, I wasn't out there and enjoying myself and having fun. I was just like there for a job. And that's not what I do. I really just enjoy fighting. I enjoy boxing. So after that, I mean, even in San Francisco, that same night, me and all my friends, we all went out and, we tried to have a little fun. But I was sitting there eating pizza and stuff, and I just really, I wasn't feeling. So I went back to the room. And I mean, after that, it wasn't that bad because after that, the fight was in December. So after that, it was Christmas and then my birthday. So I just kind of kept myself busy with that type of stuff. And I went to New Orleans for Christmas, had a bunch of fun. And then for my birthday, right after that, we went to Puerto Rico and stuff. And I kind of kept myself busy with that. But for me, it's I just kept it pushing, and I just understood. For me, I understood what happened. You look at hindsight, and you think like, all right, this is what happened, and this cannot happen no more. And then I talked to Bobby about it, and he agreed. Like, listen, this is like I said, Bobby's the type of person that he tells you things after. He told me, I was like, what you think, happened? He was like, and he told me a lot of stuff, and I was like, yeah, that does make sense.
Were you surprised Garcia beat Haney the way in which he did?
I was surprised. I definitely was surprised about that. I didn't think that was supposed to happen. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Yeah, I was definitely surprised about that. I thought that, Haney was gonna win, but especially all this crazy stuff Garcia was saying in a build up. But actually my wife, she actually bet on Ryan Garcia and made some money.
Wow.
So she said Ryan was gonna win. Yeah.
Wow. By the way, how does that work? When he tests positive and they overturn it, do they take the money away, or does she still get the money? How does that work with the gambling?
No, she still got the money.
All right, good for her.
Yeah, she still got the money. Yeah, she still kept her money. It was because it was so long after that.
Yeah.
So I guess it was a long thing. So yeah, she kept her money.
Haney and his father have been very, very vocal about what should happen when you test positive and whatnot. What is your stance on this? What do you think should happen? We have the Conor Benn situation with Chris Eubank. Some people say, Chris even on the show last week said he thinks it should be one strike and you're out. You should be banned for life. What is your stance?
For me, I don't think you should be banned for life. I think a year ban is, it depends what you have in your system, because the thing is, it is very dangerous. You can really get hurt from, this is a sport that you can really get hurt. You can really hurt somebody with that. But I just think, man, if you're trying to right the wrong, just have a clean, make sure you have a clean rematch. Make sure, if you do it, just, yeah, if you do it again, just make sure it's real clean and just do it again. That's what for me, that's what I would do. If I got cheated, if I feel like I got cheated, like, let's just do it again and see who the better man is. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We do it for that, just to see who the best fighter is, So that's something that I would probably do. And I mean, I think that, with the Ryan stuff, he had Ostarine. I can't, like, yeah, he got caught cheating, but I don't know if that was the reason that he beat Devin that bad. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We don't know. But I mean, I just think back to like the old school fighters. Somebody like who I always bring up is like Miguel Cotto when he fought Margarito. Margarito had, most likely he had plaster in his gloves, and he beat the hell out of Margarito. I mean, he beat the hell out of Cotto, and Cotto just came back. He just wanted a rematch, and he beat him. And I think that's really, in this game, I think that's really how you solve that. You just you come back from it and overcome the adversity.
Just a couple more left for you, and again, great stuff as always, Regis. Just curious, if they fight again, who do you like if all is equal and fair?
I think Ryan.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, if they fight right back, I think that Ryan will beat him. Now, if Devin goes and fights a few people first and then gets his confidence back, then probably, it depends what happens with Devin. But it's hard to come back from that. When you beat somebody up bad, it's really, really hard to come back from that, So I don't know. I think that if they fight immediately, if it was the next fight, I think Ryan will beat him again, just because it's a mental thing going on. And the thing is, they fought, I think, 6 times already before.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I heard, Ryan beat him a lot of those times. And when Devin won, I think it was like half and half or something. But when Ryan beat him, it was worse than when Devin beat him. So, but yeah, right now I would think Ryan will beat him.
I've watched a lot of your interviews and a lot of the videos involving you leading up to this fight, and it seems like every interview at some point, especially early on, and we haven't done it here, has been a question about your age and whether or not this is do or die for you, and it seems like it's just some sort of like indictment. This fight will be an indictment on the state of your career. Has this gotten annoying? These questions, this storyline heading into the fight that people are saying, like, if you don't win this one, Regis is shot, Regis is done.
Right, of course. I mean, it's not annoying, man. I mean, this is. Listen, if I was on the outside looking in, I'll say the same thing. Does he still have it? Is he still the same person? So for me, it's just going out there and proving. I know what I've been doing in the gym. I know what I've been doing in camp. Like I feel just as good as when I was 27, 28 years old. I can still do all the same things right now. So, for me, it's about just going out there and proving it. That's all. So I'm not really tripping about what the people can say. In combat sports, it's a love-hate type of relationship. So, it is what it is. I have to prove it. That's it.
If for whatever reason it doesn't go your way, will you take a strong look at the state of your career afterwards? Are you thinking like that?
I want something I do want to do is the first thing I want to do, I want to be a 3-time champion in boxing. After boxing, I will go to bare knuckle boxing. That's something I kind of have in the back of my mind. One of my friends, Austin Trout, he does that, and I mean he's a champion. He was a champion in boxing. He's a champion in that. So it's like that's something that that's something
Wow.
that's in the back of my mind. I want to do that.
They're killing it these days. Connor's involved now. You've been watching the stuff. You like it?
I like it, man. I like that's some. Listen, if they had that back in the day, I'll probably be a bare knuckle fighter or a MMA fighter. I was raised like really rough. I like to fight. I like that. And so boxing was the only thing that I found when I was coming up. MMA wasn't really that big, and of course they didn't have bare knuckle boxing. But if they had that, I think I'll be doing that. So, but I kind of went into boxing.
You don't think it's too gruesome?
No, what MMA or
No, the bare knuckle.
No, I don't think so. No. I don't think it's too gruesome. No, I like it. I like it. It's just like a street fight, man. It's like I like this because I think it's a cross between MMA and boxing.
Yeah,
it
it
really
is.
is a cross between MMA and boxing. Like, everybody always trying to compare which is better, MMA or boxing. MMA or boxing is like you really can't compare the two, So I think this is a really good cross between that, and I'm glad that I'm in this era that most likely I can do it. I already got offers and stuff right now, but right now my focus is to be a 3-time champion in boxing. But after that, it's like, all right, my focus will be something else, and that's just something it's something I just want to do, and it's something that I can't get out of my mind, but it's something I do want to do bare knuckle eventually.
Do you have a dream opponent in mind for your bare knuckle debut?
Nah, I don't have a dream opponent.
Okay.
Nah, maybe fight Conor McGregor or something like that one day. One day.
That would be something.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't have a dream opponent. I just want to get in there and just, feel it out. And I asked Austin, how does it feel? How does it feel with the fists and the gloves? He said, honestly, bro, they about the same thing.
Wow.
The thing is you can hit harder with gloves on than you can hit just with your fist, but a bare fist. But when you hit with a bare fist, you can cut somebody up more easier. So of course it looks gruesome, but boxing is harder especially on the brain, because you won't get cut as much, but you taking harder blows, repeated blows to the head. So I want to do it though. That's something that I do want to do. So but after my boxing career, that's something I look into.
I know last time we talked about your interest and love of MMA. Did you ever consider a crossover fight?
I did, but I'm not into grappling that much.
All
I did after the Haney fight, I did a lot of wrestling and grappling. I was doing it because at my gym, obviously, what you have. I saw you have Derek Lewis that he trains at our gym. So we actually in our gym we have more MMA fighters than boxers does. So when I'm out of camp, I train with the MMA fighters. I was doing a lot of wrestling, and I kind of want to learn it, but I went to a gym and I actually twisted my knee, and I was like, oh, that's it. Can't do it no more. I definitely can't do this no more. So it's like, nah, I'm still in my career. I can't risk twisting my knee, just playing around. So it's like, I stopped.
So bare knuckle makes all the sense.
Bare knuckle makes all the sense. It's like I said, it's a cross. It's a cross between that. You don't have to do the grappling and risk getting your knees hurt, because the thing is, in MMA you'll be grappling with somebody that's been doing it for 10 years. How you gonna compete with somebody that's been doing that for 10 years? It really doesn't make sense. So for me, I think that the bare knuckle is a perfect mixed sport, but for both of them, for MMA and for boxing, it's the perfect middle ground.
Great stuff, Regis. Appreciate your time very much, my man. Good luck on Saturday. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
There he is, Regis Prograis. Did not expect that. A little bare knuckle. Someone call up David Feldman. Call up Conor McGregor. Regis Prograis, interested in a career in the world of bare knuckle boxing. That is interesting. And yes, Austin Trout has had a nice run as far as his career in bare knuckle. Interesting.
Actually, just called Connor.
Oh, you did? Okay, what did he say?
Yes.
No problem, mate, yeah?
Yeah.
Already on it.
That would be something. We're starting to see it, Frank. We're starting to see the migration, if you will. It's another outlet. It's another place. It's another opportunity for fighters to make money and to flex their muscles. We've got all kinds of crossover things going. And in fact, one of the great guys in the business, Bernie, who's Regis's PR guy, also is the PR man for Bare Knuckle. So I'm sure that this would be an easy conversation to make happen. Or we could just call Conor up right now. Siri, call Conor McGregor. One
check
guest.
Your phone that it didn't actually just start calling.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, oh my God, it did.
Wow.
I almost just showed my phone, but I'm actually pretty sure he changes his number quite often. Does that I thought you had to press.
No, man, and that would have been a fun story to have for after the show.
Oh yeah, what that I called him by mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or how Siri works in general. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You don't have to press the side button?
No.
Oh my gosh. That's scary, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it.
Yeah. What do you get used to?
Just knowing that Siri's like every time I say her name, I'm looking at my phone to make sure she's not piping up now, because that definitely happens.
Hey Siri. Yeah, she just popped up. It's a problem, Frank. Anyway, now what's happening? Now my phone.
Now Connor's calling you back. Hey, I missed your call.
It was asking me, because there were multiple things, it was asking me which one. Thank God. Crisis averted. We're going to be joined by Tom Lawlor in a moment here. Tom Lawlor was at the... You know what I was thinking, Frank? This is quintessential. This is quintessential new era. We had an MMA fighter on. We had a kickboxer on. We had an actual boxer on. And we're going to have a pro wrestler on. How about that?
That's 5, right?
No, that was 4.
Okay.
MMA fighter, kickboxer, boxer, pro wrestler.
Nice.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So this is quintessential. This is a very eclectic show. This is a very well-rounded show. And part of the reason why I wanted to have Tom on, he's been doing all kinds of incredible things over on Bloodsport and MLW. He has transitioned very nicely from the world of wrestling to, for a world of MMA to pro wrestling. But yesterday, he was at the courthouse when the Judge Boulware, Richard Boulware, approved a $375 million settlement between the UFC and its former athletes in the Lee versus Zuffa lawsuit. This is a historic day. In fact, he did a video right outside calling it a historic day for the UFC, for the fighters. And this is a legal battle that has gone on for about 10 years, remarkably. And it appears as though it is approaching an end. Of course, the fighters aren't getting paid just yet. There's all kinds of steps that need to happen, but the path is there. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. And so I thought it was great that Tom was there and that he provided us with that insight, and wanted to have him on the program. And so here he is, the filthy one, Mr. Tom Lawlor, kind enough to join us right now. There he is. Hello, Tom. How are you? Long time no speak.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Ariel, actually, I'd say. Thanks for having me on short notice. As you mentioned, I was one of the very few people that were inside the courthouse yesterday, maybe about 10 people besides the representatives from the plaintiffs and the defendants. There was one other fighter besides Kung Lee that was there along with myself. And then there was, Josh Gross, I believe, Rugged Fred Garvin, a few other reporters, but not a whole lot of people there to cover this. So I'm glad to give any insight that I can.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I thought it was great. By the way, could I ask who was the other fighter?
I'm actually not going to say who it was, because he seemed quite worried about being there.
Oh, really?
Put it that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Well, appreciate you being there and your insight. It's fascinating. Why did you want to be there? Why did you go out of your way to be there?
Well, I'm unemployed, number one, so
Okay.
I had the time. Number two is that I have been a lifelong fan of mixed martial arts. I remember watching UFC 2 when I was like 11 years old, and to be able to really grow up in the sport as it grew, this has been essentially what I've dedicated my life to. And this has been like a monumental case if people have followed it over the last 10 years. A lot of people did not think that there was any, skin to this case, that it wouldn't even reach this far. And, the fact that it has now become one of the biggest antitrust settlements in U.S. history, it's a testament to not only the work of the plaintiffs, the fighters, the lawyers, but also the work that the fighters themselves put in over the years to really make the UFC the number one co-leader in the sport.
Well done. I noticed that the co-leader mentioned. Can you let me know, you seem to have your finger on the pulse here, so let me know if my facts are correct. In the end, $375 million, although it doesn't end up being 375, because around 115 million of that will be deducted for lawyer fees and commissions, and it will eventually, roughly, this is the estimate because I think it's different for everyone, and I would love if you could possibly break this down for us, about 217,000 per fighter. Is that accurate? Are those numbers accurate?
That would be somewhat accurate, but also inaccurate.
Okay.
What I can tell you is that 375 million is what was agreed upon for this settlement. And this covers just the Kung Lee portion of Kung Lee and Johnson versus Zuffa. So the original court case has been split into two. So let's make that quite clear, that this covers the fighters from 2010 till 2017. And the fighters in the Johnson case, there's still the ability that there's some contractual changes there. So I've seen a lot of people being upset about the money number, and they need to realize that this is just one half of the lawsuit, and there's still a lot to come. Now, out of the 375 million that was agreed upon, as you mentioned, 115 million go to the lawyer fees. And from what I understand, that's about standard in a case like this. The lawyers on the plaintiff side have been putting in work for about 10 years. And I don't know how many people that exactly is. I don't know how many people are on staff at the law firms. But they've put in a considerable amount of work. I don't know if it's $115 million worth, but that's up for Judge Boulware to decide at the final settlement hearing. How they got that 115 million for the lawyers is it was explained that Kramer said it was 31% of the original $335 million settlement, 300 of which was going to go to the Kung Lee suit. So 31% of 300. And then now this extra 75 million that was added on over the past few weeks, the lawyers have taken 20% of that. And it came out to about 30.7% as it was described by Kramer. So that leaves 260,000, or I'm sorry, 260 million. Let me get that right.
Yeah.
260 million. That's a big difference. 260 million left for the fighters. I believe that is 1,214 or so fighters that are in the class. Now, there's going to be some fighters who have unfortunately passed away during that time. There's some fighters who, quite frankly, you can't get a hold of them. You're not going to be able to find them, and they're not going to claim the money. And there's still some fighters who actually don't even know that this lawsuit has been going on. You know, I've been contacted by multiple people so far, saying how skeptical they are that anything is going to go down with this lawsuit still. So, if we can get back to, you said 217,000 per fighter, I believe is what you estimated, or 271. There's a formula that they are using. It is not divided equally per fighter. So much like in the rest of the world, Ariel, the rich get rich. And in this case, I guess the poor are going to get a little something, but the rich get richer. The top level fighters who made the most money are going to get the most money from this settlement. I believe it's around $15,000 per fight per fighter. So if you had 2 fights in the UFC and you lost them both and then you were cut, well, you may be looking at, $30,000 coming your way. On top of that, 30%, I believe, of your estimated earnings over the course of time will be given to you. So, I mean, for someone like me, I've done the math. I don't know if my math's right, but I believe I'm one of the 500 fighters who will be getting over $100,000 from this.
Okay. And thank you for that. That's incredible insight. In March, when we found out about the initial settlement of $335 million, there were a lot of people who said you were so close to going to trial, why settle? And then, there were some people who said, were you just fighting for money or were you fighting for contractual changes and whatnot? You've just explained that it's split into two and there's still the Johnson portion of this still to come. And of course, we then found out that Judge Boulware, in a somewhat surprise move, said he wasn't happy with the settlement and they went back to the drawing board, so to speak, and then we come to this conclusion of 375. What camp were you in back in March? Were you happy with the 335 or were you a little bit disappointed?
If I can use actually some statements from what Kramer said about this very question, because
is Kramer the lawyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't pick him out of a lineup.
Okay.
But he was the guy that was up there talking to Judge Boulware. He had his back to me, so hard to see his face. But what he mentioned, right, was that they used the data from economists throughout the pretrial hearings, right? And we've heard estimates of up to 1.6 billion on the high end and around 800 million on the low end from the economist Hal Singer. And that could end up being, with damages, if it went to court trial and the plaintiffs won, that could be, like $6 billion that TKO would be on the hook for. Kramer mentioned that one of the reasons why they were happy with this money number is that they went by the data given by the economist, I believe, Andrew Zimbalist.
Yep.
And what he had said was he estimated $981 million in damages from December 2010 till December 2016. So a similar time frame to what was settled here. And that 981,000, if you do the math, Kramer said it was like something like 40%. The 375 million would be something like 40%. It's a little bit under that. But essentially that falls in line with, wage share in NBA, NHL, those sorts of organizations. So when I look at it from my perspective, from my career, right? If this went to trial, I don't know that the fighters ever get anything, because even if TKO Zuffa lost this, there's courts of appeals. It could go up. We just saw the DirecTV Sunday Ticket court case get struck down after the plaintiffs won. So in my mind, there was absolutely no guarantee that I would ever see a dime during my lifetime unless there was a settlement. So, I guess I'm happy. And if I can also say one thing, Ariel, after saying that I'm happy with that settlement. Like if I look at my own career, I would say, based on the amount of work I put in, I could expect maybe $150,000 more. If we had won the settlement, sure, I would have taken $1 million, but the UFC didn't make $1 million off of me throughout the years. You know what I mean? So I in one way, I'm happy with this $150,000 settlement for sure. And I want to make it quite clear, I have no skin in this game, right? The only thing that I'm concerned about is the fighters getting paid. I don't work with the plaintiffs. I don't work with the MMA FA, which Rob Macy is associated with. As a matter of fact, years ago, I'm pretty sure I got kicked out of a WhatsApp chat that they have because I was asking too many questions. So for anybody out there thinking I have ulterior motives, absolutely not. I've been contacted already by a few fighters about this, and I would give them as much information as I can. I'm not an expert, unfortunately, on court cases. So, I would defer to somebody like Josh Gross, somebody who's really followed this, John Nash, somebody who's followed this more closely. But I can just tell you what I saw from a firsthand perspective in that courtroom.
By the way, just curious, when it comes to the settlement, how do they decide on a vote? Do they ask all 1,200 plus of you guys? Who ultimately decides that this is okay, we like this, and we're going to move forward from the fighter's perspective?
I believe in 30 days. After 30 days, there'll be another hearing, and then they will start sending out letters that will tell you how much you'll get paid, how you'll get paid, and you can dispute it there. So
Okay.
I believe before you would have maybe 90 days from maybe today's date to dispute this, to argue that perhaps you feel the lawyer fees are too much. And maybe Judge Boulware feels the lawyer fees are too much at the end of it. We're not over the finish line as far as fighters go, but, we're inching there.
You mentioned fighters reaching out. I'm sure you wouldn't be too surprised. I've had a plethora of managers, fighters reach out to me and say, like, where do I get my money? How do I get my money? What do you know? And the truth is, I'm not an expert. You mentioned Josh. You mentioned John Nash. Eric McGracken has done a great job of covering this on social media as well. I do know that you sent out a website earlier today. You tweeted a website. Is that the best place for fighters to sign up and get their information out there? And if so, what is that website?
Yeah, I believe that would be the best course of action. I believe it's UFCClassActionLawsuit.com. I know for myself, I got email correspondence before this trial went down saying that I was a part of the class. So I know that they have my email. I know that they have my mailing address, and I believe that's all that you really need to provide to them. After the 30 days, you get your payment letter, and then I believe you'll have to you'll have to agree with the amount first. Maybe you could challenge it if they missed a bout or something, and then go from there.
Realistically, I know you're not an expert, but realistically, when do you think you could see money?
The UFC, based on what was said yesterday, the UFC is required to put the money into escrow by the end of June. So I believe the payment schedule will be set to start Q3 of this year. I don't know if it'll be, multiple lump sum payments. I don't know if we're going to get $50 a month for the rest of my life. I have no clue how it's going to work. Okay.
And as far as Johnson versus Zuffa, what is the timeline there? Because, are we looking at another 10 years, or do you think this will be expedited?
I think it'll be expedited simply based on the fact that they have a lot of the information already. One of the things that they talked about yesterday before they settled the Kung Lee portion of the lawsuit was whether both sides would have access to all of the information from Lee for the Johnson lawsuit. And the judge made it quite clear that he wasn't making a ruling on admissibility of anything, but that, of course, he thought that all of the information that they've already gathered should be available to both sides. And then it could be, either ruled relevant to to whatever's going on in Johnson or not on a case-by-case basis. But they already have a lot of the, I guess you could say, groundwork done. So I don't expect this to take years and years and years, but I'm not.
You're right. Would you like to see contractual changes? Would you like to see more than just a check being cut?
Yeah, of course. I think that the fighters, the more say they have in the sport, the better off for the long term. But I don't know that, strictly having some wild open market is the best course of action. I mean, boxing still has its problems. The UFC, for better or worse, has been the most successful at being a big time MMA promotion. And, if they were gone, I don't know what the landscape would look like. So I don't know that the contract should be put in such a way that, takes all the power away from the promoters, but certainly there need to be concessions made. They can't just add things to contracts without, fighter input. And over the years, it's just been so restrictive.
Do you think we will see a union of some kind, an association in our lifetime?
Unfortunately not. I mean, you can just take a look at, I have fighters contacting me because they don't trust.
Right.
They don't trust the lawyers here.
Right.
There's fighters who will talk. They'll say, oh, I don't know anything about this guy's situation, but maybe he should have done something different with his money. Fighters at the very root of their person are confrontational. unfortunately. And, I guess maybe I wasn't good enough to be at that level to hate everybody. And, now I just want to see everybody get paid. But I don't think that you're going to have enough people be able to come on board and come together, unfortunately.
By the way,
it's too individualistic of a sport.
To the best of your knowledge, has anyone opted out? I mean, as recently as yesterday, I saw Sam Alvey question it, but, I saw the Twitter account Boshinia Depot say he hasn't opted out. So have you heard of anyone opting out?
No, I haven't heard of anybody opting out. I don't know why people are surprised that Sam Alvey is saying he doesn't understand how a court case went down. I mean, I wouldn't be looking at him for legal advice, so don't be surprised by that. But I haven't heard of anybody saying they're not going to take the money. I think Chael Sonnen said he's being forced to take his money, and rightfully so.
Right. All right, so this is very interesting, and now we await the next steps. Is there anything that, I mean, man, you've really summarized this. This is incredible insight and very valuable, I think. I'm just going to send all the managers who hit me up about this interview when we're done. Is there anything that you think we missed?
No, actually. I mean, yeah, one of the most important parts actually was Judge Boulware said he had one question before he went through and agreed to the settlement. And that was whether the 400 or so fighters who had signed, I guess, waivers in the Johnson class since 2017, whether they would still be able to collect through the Lee class and also the Johnson class. And it was made quite apparent, was made clear by Kramer that those fighters, those 400 or so fighters who fought in both classes, will be able to collect from both classes. So that was actually a very important part of the lawsuit, especially to Judge Boulware. So
yeah. By the way, speaking of Judge Boulware, in an interview recently, Dana White said that he went to school with him, that Lorenzo went to school with him, and he thought that he had an axe to grind. You seem to have your finger on the pulse of all of this. Did you get any sense that he was biased?
No, I thought, as somebody who is going to vote third party this year, so I have no allegiances, I thought he was very, very fair. He came off to me as somebody who was, going by the law, but also understands, the social situations that we're in. And he mentioned that he had never in his, I can't remember how many, 20, 30 years, whatever it was, in the courts, he had never seen a number of depositions from members of a class at this point in a lawsuit ever. And they gave a lot of credit to Rob Macy for doing that. So I just want to also mention that as well, because that undoubtedly played a huge part. There was a little bit of thought of whether, all of this information put out about guys like Shane Carwin, Vanderlei Silva, other fighters saying that they have health problems, whether maybe that would backfire and Judge Boulware would be like, wow, these guys deserve way more money than they're getting in this settlement. But it actually seemed to kind of, move him and push him towards accepting the settlement. He seemed kind of happy to do so.
Those depositions have made big news. You're still active, and I just want to ask you before we go about your pro wrestling career, but overall, how is your body? How, do you have any similar issues as Shane, Vanderlei, and the other, depositions that have been made public?
I mean, yeah, I have a lot of physical issues, but I can't tell you whether they're from MMA or from pro wrestling. I've actually had to take this month off from pro wrestling because I've been so beat up lately. And like this, I mean, if this goes through, it's really not coming at a better time for me. Hopefully a lot of other fighters can use this money to invest in their future. To some people, this is going to be like life-changing money. This isn't going to allow me to retire and not do anything physical. It's not going to allow me to retire from wrestling or the wrestling world. But hopefully it's going to let me, set myself up for the future. And, hopefully I can actually get out of the ring sooner than later, because, man, it's a young man's sport, Ariel, let me tell you.
Yeah. So you would like,
there's not enough Ostarine on the shelves.
Right.
In that ring.
You joke that you're unemployed, but I've seen you with Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, with MLW, some big-time matches against big-time opponents. That all being said, you are looking forward to the day that you can just sail off into the sunset? No more beating up your body?
That would be great. I don't trust myself to actually do that, though, in reality. You'll probably see me around doing something, in combat sports for the rest of my life.
Well, I appreciate you very much. Congratulations to you and the fighters. I hope that everyone is happy with this and wish you guys all the best in concluding this, getting your money, and then let's see what happens with the Johnson case. This has been phenomenal. Thank you, Tom. I really do appreciate it. Well done. Hey, by the way, I think you might have a career in reporting. I mean, you broke it all down. You were on the scene. Think about it. I know you show up on Wrestling Observer and all that stuff, but you got it all down. So well done.
I appreciate it. Glad I could be of any service. And like I said, I've got no dog in this fight other than that I want the best for the fighters. So if you got any questions or I can answer anything, if you're a fighter, you're a manager, whatever, I'll do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All the best to you. There he is, Filthy Tom Lawlor, one of the good guys in the game, and he's been quite active on social media when it comes to this particular topic. And again, the website, if you are a fighter, if you are a manager, is ufcclassaction.com.
That's right.
Yes. Let me just read something here. All right, so there it is, ufcclassaction.com. ufcclassaction.com. Great insight from one Tom Lawlor. I thought he did a great job there. Really broke it all down. I enjoyed it very much. Okay, I am told that we have some super chats from my good friend Antoine Evans. Is that not true? Oh, by the way, earlier today we had the next, I was going to say the second face-off between Usyk and Fury. They are competing again on December 21st back in Riyadh. That is going to be quite the scene. Massive fight. Unfortunately, because of our good friends over at the IBF, it will not be for the undisputed title, which drives me insane. But there they are, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, who has shaved everything off. No hair, no facial hair, no nothing. He looks completely different. What is going on?
So that is a...
is that not him?
It is.
Oh.
But he came in wearing an outfit that is Agent 47 from the video game series Hitman. So he is dressed head to toe in that outfit, and that character is completely bald, clean shaven, has no hair. He's wearing the suit, the signature red tie. He had a briefcase, and in that briefcase, we actually have video of this. So in that briefcase, he had a photo of rocking Tyson Fury, and he got Tyson Fury to sign it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a very bizarre...
Do you think it's like a Halloween thing?
Yeah, I mean, it could be related to Halloween or just related to the fact that he's like a stone cold killer who's decided that he's in Hitman
Yeah,
mode.
the character is literally Hitman. He's got the gloves on and everything.
Oh, there it is. Wow. Man, Fury's such a character. Excuse me. Usyk's such a character.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best, man.
I wonder if he's playing it up for Halloween. And then I saw Fury like tickling him.
Yeah, during the face-off, they got a little...
handsy.
But like, it didn't have the heat I was expecting. It had more like weird energy and like good-ish vibes. I don't know how to
That's what they
describe it.
want you to think. It's pure hatred.
I'm looking forward to that. I know that people have sort of complained about the card, but it's really all about that one fight. I am annoyed that it's not for the undisputed belt. I am very annoyed, but that's the IBF, and our good friend Keith Idek wrote a great story about this last week on Uncrowned.com about the IBF and their ways. It's not just with this, with Better Be a Bivol and that potential rematch. They're screwing things up over there. They made the Joshua Dubois fight for that belt like literally 2 weeks after this first fight happened. Just quite annoying stuff. But anyway, the fight is massive. It's a fascinating fight, and it's a huge one for for Tyson in particular, because if he loses, who knows when he gets another crack at the heavyweight title. All right, let me get to these super chats, and then we'll call it a day. This is from A, who I understand has been gifting everyone with memberships, so thank you very much to him. He asks a question about PFL's alleged gag order on the Diane Silva story. Are there multiple sources backing it? I don't necessarily understand the question. I don't think it's a gag order. I don't know if there's a gag order, to be honest, but I just think they're not commenting on it. I don't know. I don't think there's a gag order. I just think they're not commenting on it. That's really it. But we're doing our best, and we'll keep you posted. And ultimately, we hope that everything works out and that she makes a speedy recovery and is able to live a healthy and productive life. From Chris K. Ariel, what do you think? What do you think of Ngannou versus Andy Ruiz? A victory over the first man to beat AJ professionally. And will we ever get Funko Pops of you and the team? I don't know how you get Funko Pops. Can someone call Funko Pop for us?
Yeah, we'll just dial them up.
Okay. I don't know how, but that would be cool. I'm a little bit more of a like traditional bobblehead guy. MMA bobblehead wanted to make one of me. These ones are great. The plastic cell ones. This one, the Dame one. But open to anything, really. Open to anything. And Ngannou Andy Ruiz, sure. Doesn't blow me away like the Rico fight, but sure. Keto Kai, I enjoyed the Fluffy interview on Monday. As I was listening to him talk and catch his vibe, he's very chill. It gives me Nick Diaz vibe / Chino from Deftones. Frank, what is your favorite Deftones track?
Oh, nice. I would want to say Passenger, but my favorite from their entire thing would be 7 Words.
Is that a real song?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Before we move on, did you go listen to some Meshuggah last night?
No, I didn't. But you sent me some Bill Burr stuff.
Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, you had a busy night.
But I appreciated you sending it to me.
Rick watched it.
Did he? Did he like?
I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Oh, wow. All right. You know what?
No, we appreciate it, though.
I'm in the same boat as Ariel. Like, really appreciate it.
No, we really appreciate it. Chris K says, or at least he suggests, Rico versus Ngannou in 4-ounce kickboxing in the smart cage. So I guess 4-ounce gloves, kickboxing, smart cage. I just want it to be a real thing, but I guess I could settle for that.
Whoa, before we move on,
Yeah.
what is your preference at the moment?
Right
What
now,
do you want to see?
I say boxing.
Because it's the fairest middle ground.
Yeah.
Does it feel, though, and I say this respectfully, like, does it feel, though, like we're getting them not in their best? Like, we're getting a worse version of them just to make it more fair.
It just seems like neutral territory.
Yes, but, like, neutral territory where they're not their best. Like, I would rather see the series. Personally, I would rather see the series because I'd rather see them in their best element against each other. But, yeah, I guess boxing is the fairest if we only get one.
I just don't know if Rico and MMA is that interesting, especially with Francis turning into Cale Sanderson. And I mean, kickboxing is tough. Like, Rico's the freaking man when it comes to kickboxing.
But yes,
listen, I'll take it in any way. I'm just thinking about this stadium in Amsterdam or a stadium in Africa, and I just think it would be fun and just like another notch on Francis's belt.
I'm all in on the fight. I think I prefer the series. Or I'd honestly, if I had to choose one, I'd rather see Francis kickbox. If I had to choose one, I would rather see Francis kickbox against Rico.
Terrible idea.
I'm not saying it's going to go successfully, but boxing, like the same way I don't want to see Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal box off rip. Now, that turned into a fantastic fight. It's not their best skill. It is not their best skill set.
Yeah.
That is a poor approximation of what I love about these athletes. Francis Ngannou boxing is not the best version of Francis for me. Rico Verhoeven not being able to use kicks is not the best version of it for me. It just feels like nerfing them. It feels like putting a dampener on them just for the sake of we have to make it even. I don't know. Maybe one of them challenges themselves and fights in the other discipline, and I'm okay with that.
What do you say, PT?
I actually agree with what Rick's saying. and I was trying to think of some type of hybrid rule set as you were interviewing him. But I can't. I was like, maybe you could take him down, but you can only spend like 30 seconds on the ground. I was all over the gaff.
That's
But I don't
the
know,
last
if there
thing I
was
want. I don't want the hybrid rule set.
I think
Yeah.
if any fucking parent called for a hybrid rule set, once it's better than the one I've come up with, of course, GC. But once there is something there, I think that's a parent that you do something. Do you remember when the Mayweather Conor thing was first floated? All about these kicks and whatnot. You can throw 5 kicks around. We were fucking losing our minds
yeah,
during the
it
build up of that fight. So why
No
can't we
one
have a bit of fun with this?
Nah, I
4 kicks only, Rico.
Yeah,
I think I rank it like boxing, kickboxing, MMA, hybrid. That's my rank in terms of what I would want.
I want to love the boxing idea, but I can't. It's just.
Listen, I'll take kickboxing.
Yeah.
Let me work on a hybrid skill set. All right, let me just.
Pizzi's gonna
give me a
solve
week.
this. Don't
My
worry.
number
we
one
got
is the
this.
home and home one.
That would be
kickboxing.
sick.
I think that's.
But even he says, yeah, probably I win the kickboxing, he wins the MMA. So,
So?
where's the intrigue? What have
but
we learned here?
Boxing is the
Well, if
third
we see
leg.
kickboxing,
Boxing's
he's
the
going to
third
win the
leg.
kickboxing.
What happens if he? What happens if he doesn't? When Rico said that, there was something in his face that made me think he thinks he's going to win the MMA as well.
Oh man, yeah, I mean,
What if he doesn't lose the MMA?
Yeah, what
Yeah,
if he beats him in
Francis,
MMA and then Rico Verhoeven starts his MMA career?
Yeah,
And it was all birthed right here.
Well,
But
he has one, but it would
he
be
just
the
has one fight. But
continuation.
it does make me think. I wonder if the Glory guys are like, yo, Riyadh season, can you hook us up?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's boxing, there's MMA, there's pro wrestling. How can we get?
Should they just wrestle then? Should they pro wrestle?
Fuck, that would be something.
Benna Morris.
Oh, I was talking pro wrestling, but yeah, they could grapple too.
You know, I'd love to hear their take on that.
Who?
Mr. Aspinall. Because he trains with Rico all the time.
And friends with Francis and Nixick. He hit me
Yeah.
up today saying, Rico, I said he's some man. He's not some man. He's the man, he said.
He's some man for one man.
That's one of my favorite lines these days. By the way, shout out to Spencer who says, I used to sneak out of class 12 years ago to call into Ariel's show. Amazing to watch your journey from Ariane on the Bondi Beach and Mitrione Minute to now. Talk of Islam versus Ilya someday. Who would the boys pick? Islam, Ilya at 155. Who you got, GC?
Islam.
Islam, wow. Not even a question, not even a hesitation.
I just think going up a weight class, and I mean, we've seen what Islam has done to, one of the greatest featherweights of all time, and Alexander Volkanovski coming up a weight class.
GC, oh, sorry, Rick?
Islam. Don't even need to think hard at all.
PT?
Ilya Taporia.
Yeah, he's one of your own.
Team. Well,
I
they're
wonder what
both
the
Team
line would
Europe.
be
What
on
am I
that
saying?
fight.
That would be something. The buildup would be something, especially with the Georgia Russia.
I'm more
history.
interested in Islam going up than I am him fighting
Yeah.
another featherweight.
Islam going up to 170.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never gonna happen. Well,
Never?
at least
What?
not as long
Why?
as Bilal is champ because they're buds.
Are they?
Two more months, maybe?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way,
Are they?
you know what's the most fugazi feud out there right now? It's Usman and Bilal. Like, we know this is all being orchestrated. Like that.
Sure.
We got the footage. We got the this. Like, come on. No one's buying any of this.
Yep.
Like, come on. You're pals. I get it.
They don't need to sell bad
A
blood.
for effort.
I think that's a fine fight. They don't need bad blood on that. Forget that stuff.
Question for New York Rick. What season do you recommend starting to watch the challenge? This is from Long Weekends.
This is
He
like
was telling me
picking
this yesterday.
This is like picking one of my kids. Like
Tell them what you told me.
There's Inferno is amazing. Runes is amazing. Now there's like 2 and 3 of each of these, but start with the first one. Inferno, Runes, Fresh Meat. Free Agents was really good. The latest season, 40, is fantastic. It's impossible. You have to just do them all. But you don't have to watch them in order, which is fantastic. You can just watch one season and then skip to the next. But Inferno and Ruins and Cutthroat are kind of like top tier.
Shout out to Mighty Zane, gifted 20 memberships. Well done.
Wow.
Very kind of you. And final one, this is from Mike D. Does Conor McGregor have a sunset clause? Is there a date that you know of? And 2, well, this is more like 3 questions, if I may. Is a Kane Francis rematch possible? How do we feel about this? Golly. I would be lying if I said I know the status of Kane's contract. It has been a minute. And obviously he has some other issues that he needs to deal with his legal issues. Sunset clause for Conor, I don't know of. I'd be surprised if there is one, given his stature and popularity. And so I don't know of a date as well. I think we'll get the 2 fights. The question is, do we get more than that? He seems to be having itchy knuckles when it comes to all the bare knuckle stuff. And by the way, we clipped off Regis Prograis talking about his desire to be a bare knuckle fighter. And Jorge Masvidal wrote to us under the tweet saying, come to Gamebred FC. So that's the bare knuckle MMA promotion that Jorge Masvidal runs.
I love that.
So here's Regis Prograis throwing his hat into the mix. So great stuff there. Thank you very much to everyone who was a part of the initial membership situation. Thank you very much to everyone for sending in questions. I think we got to everything. Did we get to everything? Is there anything else?
No stone left unturned.
Yes. Well done. We got the boys in the back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Anything you want to tease?
Yeah, I was just going to dive deep on UFC 308. There's a lot to talk about. And I think we're on opposite sides of the fence here, so it'll be lively.
Okay.
Introing a new segment.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
Okay,
That's
I
the
thought you.
tease. What do you want me to say?
I thought you were going to tell us what the segment was.
No, that's the tease.
That's the tease. Looking forward to that. Perhaps Juliana's pick is involved.
Yeah,
message has been sent. We will be doing a parlay regardless, so even if she's late this time, we can just add her in. Saw it at 1 p.m.
Drum roll.
Oh, it's been seen.
Yeah, 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay,
later.
she's
just
thinking.
got to do the research. She's got to
thinking.
hop in the lab. We'll get the paper.
She's reviewing tape.
Yeah.
She never wants to
That's what
go
I'm
in
saying.
blind.
I'm with y'all. We'll get the
So
paper.
was I just like a side piece for Vegas? Like just one weekend? throw
we
me
were trying
away?
you out. We were trying you out.
It's
Oh yeah, and I just picked the biggest fucking underdog, the only underdog actually in the whole parlay.
It's this fire that you bring that's like we don't really get that.
Oh man, just to be honest, we needed to know what the champ was up to.
Wow.
She was in training camp. She obviously had a big fight on her plate. We had to see what was going on with her. And she wants to continue. So, once she starts gearing up for her next title defense, you're back in.
Yeah, but Pete, just consider
We'll
yourself
always have
the-
Vegas. We'll
Yeah,
always have
Vegas,
boys.
but
Vegas is exactly.
You want to know. You want to know. You can hang your hat on this. I come in and I pick dogs and we win. You don't want to be a part of the parlay pals when we're on that 9 parlay losing streak and we're questioning whether we're ever going to hit one in the year of 2020.
And they start talking about removing you for the next fight.
Or us
You don't
quitting.
know.
Remember going into UFC 300, we were talking about completely quitting the parlay period because we had not hit a single one in 2024. Okay, so just you don't want to be a part of that.
You're the backup. You're the backup picker, Pizzi. So your title shot is coming just someday long in the future that nobody.
Just always be
knows
ready
or
to weigh in
guarantees.
when champion
Just
Juliana Pena
just
is
stay
in.
ready.
Not for nothing. 100% accuracy so far in underdog picks on the crack every Friday. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Yeah, I followed that. I bet Paul Hughes as well.
And
you showed me. He sent me the slip and everything. Bork sent me the slip. He was not messing around. He
I'm a
was
slips
dropping
guy, man.
bombs.
Always have been for the last 3 years. I mean, I don't know how many slips I can post, how many slips I can share, but yeah, I mean, I actually bet when I say I'm betting.
Speaking of the crack on Friday, what do we got, Pizzi?
Well, the great Lerone Murphy's going to be there. The Miracle. And you know what, Ariel? The last time you talked to Lerone, he was debating whether he'd be called the Iceman, I believe it was, or the Miracle. But I can say, breaking news.
There it is. Yeah, so slow.
I'm sorry, my finger just stays
No,
on the
no.
breaking news, even
Sorry.
when Pizzi's talking.
Lerone confirmed as the Miracle going forward.
That's
the only teaser I can
brilliant.
give.
I mean, I would have been devastated. Why? The miracle is yours. It's his life. He is a walking miracle. Iceman, there's been a million Iceman. No, that's great. That's great stuff. So that's 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the same channel. Thumbs up to the chat. Keep the subscribers going up. Hit the like. Hit the bell. What about this window? You see it's getting darker outside? Do you guys notice? I mean, it's popping. It's actually popping out here. We're continuing to work. We're continuing to tweak. We've got boys in the back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. We've got the crack at 1 p.m. Eastern. 1:45 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. It's our very first watch party of the new era. And then immediately following the event, so at about 5 Eastern, about 3 hours later, we'll have a UFC 308 post show. Oh my gosh. Is it too much content? Is it not enough content? Are you paying? Are you doing this? So much intrigue, so much discussion, so much bandying about the state of affairs here at Uncrowned. But I see a lot of people complaining about the state of media. You can't complain about what we're doing here. The quality on the video, on the audio, on the .com, unrivaled. And yes, I am aware that the name of said empire might soon become like one Uriah Faber. 40 years old, is he still the California kid? Can we still call ourselves Uncrowned if we are the kings of all things combat sports media? Sure, because again, it's a mentality. It's not about the physical crown. It's about what's here. It's about what's here. And so I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. And I appreciate everyone who's coming along, good or bad intentions, coming along for the ride. We're out of time. Thank you very much to the boys in the back. Thank you to Pizzi as well. Thank you to Frank. You can hit my music. By the way, congratulations to the James family. What a scene that was yesterday. I saw a lot of people hating on that. I thought it was pretty cool. Tells his son, Bronny, hey, you ready? Let's go.
You got a board.
You got a board. Listen, I saw an article on Yahoo, much love, saying like, for 3 minutes, the show got in the way of the game. The moment got in the way of winning. Last I checked, the Lakers won. They won. They beat the Timberwolves. So what? Nothing got in the way of anything. Can we all just chill out? The guy played, what did he play? 3 minutes? He literally played 3 minutes. It's not that big a deal. It's not that serious, right? At least and listen, if the guy's starting, if the kid's starting and he's taking actual real playing time away from guys who deserve it, we might have a problem. Something tells me that ain't happening. That ain't happening. So I'm okay with it. Cool to see the Griffies there. Did you guys see Senior and Junior there? Amazing. I love that.
Didn't watch a single basket of the old basketball last night.
No, but I mean, you didn't see any of it on social media?
No.
Wow. It was everywhere. At least for me. What's your algorithm showing you?
I got the apps blocked from 10p to 10a.
That's just psychopath stuff.
Is it? I'm not going to be shamed into this. I actually feel like that's healthy for mental and physical.
Thank you, Arnold Allen. Thank you, Rico Verhoeven. Thank you, Regis Prograis. Thank you, Tom Lawlor. Thanks to all of you. Thumbs up to the chat. Thanks to all of them. Back on Thursday, same time, place. Peace. Out of here.
No problem, mate, yeah?